edition. The Jeff Hafley is your new defensive coordinator edition. How do you feel about that? Excited? Skeptical? You underwhelmed? I'll have to admit we have no idea if he'll be good or bad or indifferent. We're going to find out. Edition. And by the way, Goody talks today too.
The Gooder?
I thought you'd be here, being the Stan that you are. What a great draft he had.
Let me tell you a little something. I don't need to be the... If you're not a Goody Stan at this point, you're just being ignorant, if I'm being honest with you.
We always appreciate when you're honest with us. Edition of Wilde and Tausch.
A little surprised he's not down in Mobile, though.
I am, too. I don't know if he'll be asked that or not. Maybe he will.
Was he down there earlier?
Yeah, perhaps.
Okay.
Perhaps. You would think, right? Practices, I think, are still going on.
Yeah, I'm guessing the padded pieces of these practices probably ended yesterday since they play Saturday. I think, right? The old Mobile. Yeah. That might be a fun game for Packer fans to watch. It's got 7 picks in the top, 167? I don't have my little grease board with me today, but I think it was 7 out of 167.
I don't think we can do that because there are compensatory picks at the end of the 3rd and 4th rounds, so that number's going to change.
Yeah, but we deal with facts on the ground, brother, and I think it's 7 out of 167. It's a fact
that there's going to be. Never mind.
7-167. Jesse.
Of Wilde and Tausch on 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee, 100.5 ESPN Madison, 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam. ESPNWisconsin.com, the ESPN app, your Alexa smart speaker, streaming live video, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and, of course, everything you need on WisconsinOnDemand.com and the Wisconsin On Demand app. I'm Jace Wilde in Green Bay. Jesse Nelson is in the Everlight Solar ESPN Madison studios, and so is the Packers Hall of Famer, Mark Tauscher. Tausch, good morning. Do you have Hafley fever?
No, I don't have a fever. It was weird because I'm jumping on with Rutledge and Orr. I think that's the new name of their show, right, Jesse? It's Rutledge and Orr.
Rutledge and Orr Hamilton.
And I was all excited because I get a chance to talk to who I thought might be the brother of the new defensive coordinator. And literally 2 to 5 minutes beforehand, the Hafley news breaks.
Yeah.
None of y'all had any inkling on it. And again, kudos to the Packers for keeping that under wraps. And I guess I'm at the point where I'm not going to get caught up in this whole storm. I had a wrecking ball season. I was riding the ups and downs, and I'm sure I'll ride the ups and downs again, but not with this hire. I think anytime we were looking at this, it was give me somebody that's a veteran that can lead this defense. I don't want Matt LaFleur giving up play calling.
Yep.
I want him to trust what's going to happen. And in the amount of time and research that I looked at, you're talking about a head football coach. You know he can lead a room.
Mm-hmm.
What he did at Ohio State with NFL quality talent. Now, again, you're playing against some crappier teams, so you're going to be able to put up points. But by the way, NFL has a line of division like that too.
Sure.
Carolina Panthers haven't scored against anybody. They will not have scored in probably almost 300 days against anyone that wasn't a Joe Barry-led defense. So let's keep that in mind. So from a Packer fan standpoint, here is what I've learned. He is going to be a 4-down guy. That's what he likes doing. That's his base. Now, whether or not he does that in Green Bay with the personnel, I don't think he's committed to that, but his past history shows you he likes 4-down.
4-down linemen.
4-down linemen, Jason, not 2. I can't wait for you to get into that with the new coach. So I don't think that's a problem. I think Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness are both hand-in-the-dirt guys. I think I like that if that's the road they go down. And the biggest thing, I sent you guys that little podcast that they did, the Boston College Cats did with it, and the way he was describing the NFL and the running quarterback and the fact that you have to account for the running quarterback later in the season but not early, how he thinks through things. There is a lot to like about the DNA and the makeup of this Hafley. Does that mean he's going to be a dominant defensive coordinator? It doesn't. Does it mean he's going to suck? No. We don't know, but all of the things that we complained about when Joe Barry was hired, that is not the case here. There's been a track record of success that he's been able to have, and does that mean it's going to carry over? No, it doesn't. But he's going to be competent. He's going to do things differently, and the biggest thing that I think Packer fans are going to be like, they're going to be a case of aggressiveness and more get in your face, make people beat you than sit back and don't give up big plays. I can go one of two ways. But
Correct.
I think as we sit here right now, I'm not going to say this is a home run. I'm not going to say this stinks. I think it is a good quality, solid hire to be able to pull a head coach. Head coaches don't love giving up power. To pull a head coach from a major Power 5 university and bring him in as your defensive coordinator is a kudos to LaFleur, and it tells you a lot about college football too, but it tells you that Matt LaFleur wants someone that can run a room and that will do things and have a system in place that he agrees with, and he's going to let him go do his job. And I think that's what I took so far from the Jeff Hafley hire.
To me, that's the biggest thing, Tausch, is that he has 4 years of head. I don't care if it's at Boston College or Boston University or the Boston Red Sox. He has been in front of the room, and he can be what we talked about a week or so ago after Matt LaFleur, after I got after him for floating the idea of giving up the play calling after how well the offense functioned and what a rhythm he and Jordan Love were in. He got a guy that can be the head coach of the defense because he's been the head coach of an entire team. I don't care that it's not an NFL team. Now, there were some former NFL head coaches that I know some fans would have liked to have seen in the mix for the defensive coordinator job, but I don't think that that matters as much as how effectively is he going to run his system. Now, I'm thrilled that I'm not the only one that's saying, well, let's not judge this one way or the other. We have no idea. I don't know about you. I did not know who Jeff Hafley was.
I did not either.
I do not follow Boston college football all that closely. But one of the things that I like about him is that philosophically, he is a Saleh guy. He trained under Robert Saleh in San Francisco. Now, it doesn't sound – I know there's some folks that are making this into a Matt LaFleur hired one of his buddies. I think they are acquaintances because of Adam Stenovich having coached with him, Robert Saleh having coached with him, his brother having coached with him. But I don't think this is like a guy that he's always going out and having beers with. So there's a familiarity, which I think is a good thing.
For sure, I think part of the deal is the people that why anyone would be like super down about this at this point. It's not even 24 hours. And again, you go on Packers Twitter, it's going to be a roller coaster. It always is. So take that into account. But this idea that it's like a crony, oh, well, he knows so-and-so, and oh, he's cousins. Remember, he's cousins with Sean McVay, so he's going to get a job and all that stuff. And by the way, everybody that has been associated with Sean McVay has been pretty good as a head coach.
Yep.
So you never want to have the I guess perception that, well, I only hired him because I know him. Like,
correct.
It's the nepotism deal when it comes to announcing and everything else. But a lot of times that works too, as is our boy. What's the guy's name?
Noah Eagle.
Noah Eagle. Yeah. So this is not good. This is a hire when you can pull someone that's had the experience that he's had and success. He's also had sometimes not successful in Boston College.
Hey, he won the Fenway Bowl.
That's a deal. I think you're going to withhold judgment, but I would just say to Packer fans, be excited about it. He's not Joe Barry, which is what everybody was clamoring for. He definitely has a different mindset than what we've seen in the past. Mm-hmm. And until he actually gets his hands and his opinions on the personnel groupings, I don't necessarily think we know exactly how he's going to approach things. What we do know in listening, again, I listened to 2 or 3 clips of podcasts where he was talking about disguising and middle field safety and being able to stop the run and get after the quarterback with your 4 down and being able to simulate, which is the big buzzword all season, the simulated pressure where you walk guys up and you make protection adjustments more difficult so that you give your edge guys and your interior rush guys more one-on-one opportunities. That's what this is going to be about. If he can get to the point,
have to win.
If he can get to the point where you let Jair be Jair, and Jair is Jair Depoy, not Jair the last 2 seasons.
We don't know that.
We don't know that. We don't know what they're going to do at safety. So there's still so many unknowns, but the fact that this cat gave up a head coaching job and came here because he saw this and I understood the concept of what was going on, I think that should get Packer fans excited about where we're at.
So here's the question I was going to poll. And I know that's your department, and you'd like to poll whether January 31st is the best birthday. But
no, actually, that's the one thing I didn't want polled. But yes.
I understand. The precursor to Wilde and Tausch was green and gold today, and we used to play a game called Skeptic or Believer, presented by Boucher Automotive, where we ride with you every mile. And I'm curious, because you and I are in agreement here, that this is not the day to be saying this is a home run hire, this is a terrible hire.
Correct.
Because I understand that more often than not, that's what people want. They want us to have a take and run with it. But that's not what we do here. You certainly have opinions. I occasionally have opinions. Not often, but occasionally. But my question is, are you more of a skeptic or are you more of a believer on this? Because none of us know.
That's a good question. Yeah, that's a really good question.
So that's our question, 844-770-3776. I do want to take calls on this and get people's reactions. 844-770-3776. I'll also put that poll in the field so folks can vote their opinion. Are you more of a skeptic of this Jeff Hafley hiring, or are you going to be more of a believer? Again, you don't know. I don't know. Quite frankly, Matt LaFleur doesn't know.
Did you have any correspondence with Matt LaFleur after this hire?
I did.
Okay. Are you going to share, or is it non-shareable?
Well, it's not on the record. And I know some folks don't care about that, but
I know you do, and you should.
I would say this.
That's what I'm talking about. Give us the interpretation of the interpretation.
I would say that he really believes in this hire and he's really excited about it. Now,
is there anything that makes, like, why does he believe in the hire? What is it about
I
him?
went back. This is me speaking, not Matt LaFleur. But I went back. I have a buddy, Matt Miocco, who covers the 49ers for NBC Bay Area.
Gnocchi.
I like gnocchi. I would prefer
good.
that over. I would prefer that over noodles, frankly.
What's healthier, gnocchi
I think
or
probably noodles? Maybe. That's a good question too.
Well, gnocchi is potato based, right?
It is.
Huh.
We'll have to do some research on that.
Okay, Jesse.
Josh, or just one of our fans on the text line. I listened to Matt talking with Jeff Hafley, and one of the things I thought was really interesting was how adamant Hafley was about player input.
Yeah.
And now he was doing this at the college level, which is different than doing it at the NFL level, but certainly he did it at the NFL level when he was in San Francisco. That's when Matt interviewed him, was when he was the defensive backs coach under Saleh in San Francisco.
Oh, so he's interviewed with Matt LaFleur before?
No, Matt Miocco.
Oh, you're talking about gnocchi again. Okay, continue.
Gnocchi. Yeah, I'll call him gnocchi moving forward.
Regular pasta is actually more carb-heavy than gnocchi.
I thought gnocchi's a little lighter.
Gnocchi is notorious for having a lot more sodium, with over 200 grams per serving.
A lot of NaC1.
So if you're watching your sodium, you want to stay away from the gnocchi.
Okay. Good to hear. Thanks for the update, Jesse.
I forgot I was doing the show with Bill Nye, the science guy, and his NaC.
All right, so what did gnocchi have to say?
My point is he is a big believer in player input.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, I don't know how much he did at Boston College because those are college kids. But when he was in the NFL coaching defensive backs, he talks about that with gnocchi in his podcast. Now, here's why I think that's important. I think there was a feeling here with the previous defensive coordinator that he pretended to listen, but he didn't necessarily listen.
Yeah, well, and you heard that after the first game of the blanket season when
Correct.
Justin Jefferson was running all over us.
This is what I'm saying.
So, yeah, it's one thing. You have to have your basic fundamentals and your principles that you're going to adhere to.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
But then to just dismiss especially proven professionals is a bad idea, because I always tell you, you need to get buy-in. Part of the job as a coach is to get people to buy in. Mm-hmm. If people are just looking at it and saying, well, that's what he wants me to do, I don't believe in this, it's your job to sell it. You have to, just like President Shepard when he was selling his one of his laws, he had to go out and sell it.
The gun law. Yeah.
He had to go out and sell it. This guy is going to have to come in with his track record. And I thought one of the more interesting things, you listened to Gnocchi and him talking, this other guy that I sent you, I don't know what his name was, the guy that works for Boston College, really interesting. But Richard Sherman, who is not a Packer fan by any stretch of the imagination.
No, he's not.
You know what he said about him? Incredibly prepared. One of the most prepared coaches, having the answers, always knowing what was going on, understanding route concepts. And then old boy was talking, and this other little Potter was talking about disrupting the route trees and making it very difficult. Don't give anything easy. And if there's one complaint that I think all Packer fans have about the Joe Barry era, it wasn't about rush yards, even though there were games that was frustrating. It was always the, why on earth are we in a soft zone on 3rd and 8 where we let them get 9? And I'm guessing, and again, this is just a 24-hour snapshot, that will not be the case here. Mm-hmm. Now, is there a possibility that we do a bunch of press man and guys beat their press and have 80-yard touchdowns? Yeah, that can happen too. There's a risk-reward. But I think Packer fans are saying, let's let our guys eat a little bit more. And I think that's what the players want. And we'll see how that all meshes itself out.
So one last thing on that, then you'll tell us about Pella, and then we'll get the calls, 844-770-3776, 844-770-3776. The story that I wrote yesterday before we knew that Jeff Hafley was the new defensive coordinator was basically about how Matt LaFleur was not married to a certain scheme based on his interviews of the 6 known interviews that we knew about, right? Baltimore guys, Fangio guys, like he was all over the map, right? But I went back and looked after he parted ways with Mike Pettine, who, by the way, was Jeff Hafley's boss in Cleveland, which is interesting. Okay. So he's got some Pettine background with him, along with Saleh background with him. But one of the things that I thought was interesting was that after they'd parted ways and Matt LaFleur was talking about his thoughts on the next defensive coordinator, who ended up being Joe Barry, he said that he didn't want to have any gimmies. He didn't want to play soft. So he had the same complaint about Mike Pettine that he had about Joe Barry, that guys played too far off. That does not sound like that will be an issue with the Jeff Hafley system. But as you point out, and you saw it, Al Harris played press man all the time. Charles Woodson could do everything, obviously, but there are times that, especially if you don't have somebody who's elite at doing that, that it can be a problem.
Better hit. If you're going to do
you better not screw it up.
If you're playing press man, you better hit the press. You better get a chuck on him.
Stay with your man after you press him. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But we want to get to your calls, and I'm going to put the poll in the field. 844-770-3776. Are you a skeptic, more of a skeptic, or more of a believer in this hire as the Packers defensive coordinator? I know this. We wouldn't have to pull that question when it comes to Gina Della. We are full-on believers in Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
Indeed we are. And, again, I told you, I think it was 2 days ago. January 31st. Today's Feb 1. New era, new read. No. I got the Gina. The Gina signal came hammering at old T. And
Gina signal.
She is not about hyperbole.
No.
This deal is unblanking believable. 60 months. Everybody's going to need new windows, right? The cold air, you want to keep all that out. You need new windows. You need new doors. Right now, you can kick the January blues. Get into February. Kick those too. I don't care. But you need to get on this deal. 0% interest for 60 months, which is, what was the math on that? 5 years? Probably as long as old boy was the coach at BC. Hopefully the contract extension for Jordan Love. 60 months, 0% interest. You heard that right. And you have until the 23rd. Not going to even go till leap year. We're cutting it short. You got till the 23rd of February for that 60-month 0% interest. Visit PellaWI.com today to learn more. Certain restrictions do apply.
844-770-3776. Are you more of a skeptic or more of a believer in this hire? We'll ask that question in a poll form, and we'll take your calls next. It's Wilde and Tausch.
This is Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Call Gina Della from Pella today, 855-PELLA-WI, and online at PellaWI.com/radio.
You'll notice that some jewelry stores in the area are giving big, deep down discounts, as much as 60%. But you know what they're doing, don't you? They're just marking it up to mark it down. That's why for over 30 years, Chalmers Jewelers has offered you truth in pricing. You will always find great value on unique custom jewelry at Chalmers Jewelers, either in-store or chalmersjewelers.com.
Chalmers Jewelers in Middleton
And Madison.
Hey, Wayne, shopping for a new door? Do you need something more dependable?
Yes, something that's durable, dent-resistant, knows how to take a hit, and is going to last for years.
We're still talking about the door, right?
Oh, yeah, right, of course.
Wayne Larrabee and Jeff Levering shopping together at Pella? What next? How about 0% interest for up to 3 years? Or no money down, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Conference 22924.
Hi, it's Jeffrey from Celebrations Entertainment, and here's another great fundraising event in Madison.
Join us for the 4th annual Tellurian Not a Gala on February 17th at the Madison Concourse Hotel, brought to you by Fairway Mortgage. The event raises funds to help those with mental health, addiction, and homelessness. This year's theme is Saturday Night at the Disco. It features music by VO5, dinner, auctions, games, and speakers Brett Favre and Gilbert Brown. For tickets and information, visit tellurian.org/gala.
I will see you there.
Hey, it's Alex Strofe. Stay in the know on area high school sports and follow ESPN Madison on Twitter for Prep Mania on Deck, each week's preview of the top games and events. Prep Mania on Deck is brought to you by Zimbrick Honda, a proud supporter of high school sports and local communities.
Dash the Dane. That's right, Great Dane Pub and Brewing Company has expanded their delivery offerings with DoorDash. New customers get $5 off your first order of $25 or more. And don't forget, Dash Pass subscribers always receive free delivery. Order delivery today at GreatDanePub.com or on the DoorDash app and get food delivered from the Great Dane closest to you. Downtown, Hilldale, Fitchburg, or East Madison. Great Dane Pub and Brewing Company, Madison's home for craft beer and pub food since 1994.
Listen up, guys. If you haven't been giving your significant other chocolates from Gale Ambrosius Chocolatier, then you've been doing it all wrong. Your wife or girlfriend will love the handcrafted, unique chocolates created right here in Madison. Stop by their store on Atwood and enjoy the ultimate chocolate experience today. Once you taste the difference that locally owned and made chocolate provides, you'll never go back to buying a mass-produced box of chocolate ever again. Show her you care by getting a box of chocolate from Gale Ambrosius Chocolatier on Atwood.
Stoughton Health, in collaboration with patient and family advisors, seeks to advance the healthcare experience at Stoughton Health by providing a forum for past patients and families to provide feedback on a variety of healthcare and other related topics. Advisors offer constructive feedback on their personal journey at Stoughton Health, helping to elevate the patient experience and increase satisfaction. Interested? Please call Amy at 608-873-2308.
We tend not to think about right now, but right now in front of us is victory over cancer. Right now, cancer research funded by the V Foundation is leading to better treatments and saving lives. When you give to the V Foundation, 100% of your donation goes directly to game-changing cancer research. Victory over cancer is there for the taking by you. Donate at v.org, because today's cancer research is tomorrow's victory.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up. Join the Madison Money Guy, Christian Finfrock, for Retirement Income Strategies, Saturday and Sunday mornings at 7. Get the information you need as you plan for retirement. That's Retirement Income Strategies, Saturday and Sunday mornings at 7. Investment advisory services offered through Retirement Income Strategies, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Tonight on the NBA on ESPN Radio, one of the NBA's fiercest rivalries opens another chapter. LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers storm into TD Garden to face Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics.
Tonight on 100.5 ESPN.
844-770-3776. We'll get to your calls here momentarily. Early returns on the poll question. We got over 100 votes in the first 2 minutes. 81.2% more of a believer, 18.8% more of a skeptic.
Jason, when Joe Barry was hired, which was 3 years ago,
I was a skeptic.
Where was that number, do you think? Have you done that?
I think given his track record.
And the fact Jimmy Leonard turned it down and Joe Barry was kind of the third guy.
Yes, not the first choice. It was skepticism. Homer went after him right away. And look, rightfully so. I'm not criticizing Homer for it. I mean, you look at his defenses that he'd had in Washington and in Detroit, and they weren't very good. So he had a track record as a defensive coordinator in the NFL that was not encouraging. Jeff Hafley, for better or for worse, does not have a track record as a defensive coordinator in the NFL. And again, in fairness, he has never been a defensive coordinator solely by himself for anyone. Not for Ohio State. He was a co-defensive coordinator there, and then he was a head coach at Boston College, which, again, I think is a really good thing.
Yeah, you know what, I'd be curious, when you get a chance to talk with him, which I don't know when that presser is going to be.
I don't either.
That's a really tough conversation to have with your kids at Boston College, because everybody understands if he got a head coaching job with the Green Bay Packers, I think everybody in BC would be like, yeah, coach. You're, in essence, taking a demotion.
Correct.
And players are going to look at that and say, what? Like, I'm actually really curious on that mentality, because there's been the, NIL money, and the coaching in college is a bear. It's a bear anyways, and with all of these added layers, it makes it almost untenable if you're not a really outgoing personality and just have endless energy.
Mm-hmm.
But what's that message? So I'd love for you to dig into that. How does the messaging go to his players that he had to tell that I'm going to actually take a demotion and leave here? Like, that's not an easy conversation to have.
So Pete Thamel joined Jen, Gabe, and Chewy this morning. He broke the story. He is the national college football writer for ESPN.com. And obviously you see him on TV all the time. I would say this. It sounds to me, from what I understand, that Pete knows Jeff Hafley pretty well. Obviously, he's covered college football for a long time. Hafley's been on a variety of staffs and been around the game a long time. Pete Thamel suggested that what you just said is one of the primary reasons why he did this.
Yeah.
Is that with the transfer portal and having to recruit the players that are already on your team to convince them to stay.
Yeah, re-recruit.
And NIL and all that other stuff. He just wants to coach ball. And
that's what you said Matt LaFleur loves.
Matt LaFleur loves that. Exactly.
He's about ball. I love ball.
So I would say that is, again, and I don't know how much I'm not saying he doesn't care about his guys at Boston College. Please, that's not what I'm saying. But he doesn't. I don't think he's super worried about that conversation. Like, hey, this is what I'm doing.
Oh, I would disagree. I would bet he's very worried.
I'm sure he feels bad about it.
Yeah.
But I don't like. He obviously made this choice. He had the choice to stay. It wasn't like there was some questions about his future there, right? I think he had a losing record as the head coach.
But they won the Fenway Bowl.
They did win the Fenway Bowl, yes.
Gotta
and they were
protect
bowl
your-
eligible.
You got to protect
3
your
of the last 4
backyard.
years.
Got to protect your backyard.
SMU, top 25 wins.
Thanks.
So my point is that he obviously felt like this is a better place to be than running your own college football program. And I think that says more about how he feels about where college – I don't want to speak for Jeff, but I would say that says more about how he feels about college football as a whole.
Sure.
Than what he feels
a lot
about
of people
Boston
feel
College.
that way, but I just don't know a lot of coaches. How many times have you seen, and this wasn't like he was coaching at William and Mary, no offense to William and Mary, how many times do coaches willingly take demotions? How many times?
Mark Lavatt stepping aside as the strength and conditioning coordinator.
I'm talking head football coaches and saying, I'd rather be a D coordinator, or I'd rather do that.
Yeah,
willingly.
I don't think there's many times where that occurs.
So that is something unique. Not to say it's good and or bad. I just don't know. I know coaches' mentalities. Some coaches are very content making a bunch of money and being O-line coaches or tight ends coaches or offensive coordinators. I have never met a coach that isn't sitting there taking notes and anticipating and planning their time to shine as a head coach. I've never met one that doesn't want to do that. I haven't. And to willingly do it is a big, whoa, okay, that was the first thing, whoa. All right, great, he's going to be the head coach of the defense. And those things are all great. But I'm fascinated by how that all played out. And that's the job I'm going to give you when you get in there and figure that piece of it out, because that's a fascinating psychological question to me.
Yep, agreed. Speaking of psychological questions, I want to get to calls, which we haven't done yet. So let's take a break and have you tell us about where you're at on Prize Picks, because I think you're going to tell us about Prize Picks a few times today. I'm curious psychologically after last night's game in Portland, which you didn't stay up for.
I didn't, but I saw the highlights. Woof. Woof.
Woof.
Doc, let's go. Portland sucks, and we lost to Portland. When's Doc getting a dub on this road trip?
That was Portland's Super Bowl last night, though.
Oh, it was our toilet bowl, I'll tell you that.
I assume you didn't have any projections.
No, I like being able to watch and get into it, and I knew Old T was going to be a CP by the time that game started, and it was. But what I love now, Prize Picks, of course, daily fantasy sports made easy, and it is easy. Pick 2 or more players. Just go off of Prize Picks' projections, not Jesse or my projection. It's off of that. And one of the things I love, Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy platform with injury insurance to keep you in the game, even if one of your players goes down. And over 7 million sports fans have already signed up. Old T is one of them. So join me. Watch your favorite players and get paid doing it. And now we got the super poo-poo platters, the combos, if you will, the big game. You got Mahomes. You got all this fun stuff, and pair it up. If you want to go Giannis, if you want to go Joel Embiid, if you want to go any of the NBA guys, you can poo-poo platter it with some of those big game projections and have a ton of fun with that.
Nicely done.
And Prize Picks will also, that's tricky. Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app, use the promo code WI. And Jesse, I can barely keep up with this. You got goblins, you got gruels, you got freebies. You got freebies for the big game. Mahomes 0.5.
0.5.
Pretty sure you could check that one off. Again, use that promo code WIs. Prize Picks will match that first deposit up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
844-770-3776. 844-770-3776. We'll get to your calls next. It's Wilde and Tausch.
On the air, on demand, on social, on Wisconsin Sports. Serving Wisconsin sports fans. This is 100.5 ESPN.
Hey, Drew Scott here, and I'm Jonathan Scott, reminding you that life's better with a home policy from American Family Insurance. They can help you get just the right protection at just the right price and help you save when you bundle home and auto. Kind of like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. it'll be just right for you. We love a custom build. American Family Insurance. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Mark Tauscher here to tell you a little bit more about Everlight Solar. We all know that electricity costs are on the rise. That's why you need to talk to my friends over at Everlight Solar. Their local team here in Madison is here to keep it simple. From your no-cost consultation to solar panel installation, the team at Everlight Solar will be with you every step of the way. Not only will they help you save money, but by switching to solar, you're also helping save the planet. Everlight Solar, a proud partner of Wisconsin Athletics. Check them out at everlightsolar.com.
UW Credit Union presents the Prep Mania Student Athlete of the Week, supporting local student athletes as they grow on the field, in the classroom, and in the community. UW Credit Union is here for every you. Learn more at uwcu.org. Here's Dennis Semra with the UW Credit Union Student Athlete of the Week.
Our ESPN Madison UW Credit Union Student Athlete of the Week, Kira Jones. Welcome.
Hey.
When was the first time you picked up a basketball?
I think I was like 6, and then like about 8th grade, I started taking it serious, falling in love with it, going to the gym with my brothers.
You want to go on and play in college? How's recruiting? You getting some interest?
Yeah, I'm getting recruited. I got my first D2 offer a couple days ago. I'm happy about that.
And what do you want to study in college?
Kinesiology. I want to be a physical trainer or a coach.
Coach, now you do some work and MSCR.
I like working with MSCR because I love working with kids. I think it's because I only have one nephew, so I was rarely around kids and I'm the baby.
Well, East Side Pride, that's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Being a per golder, what does that mean to you?
Being a leader, East presents that, wanting more leaders. A lot of leaders came out of the school.
Listen to Madison Money Guy every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. on 100.5 ESPN and ESPNWisconsin.com.
I like to refer to inflation as the silent killer. It's an invisible risk. It's just the idea that things get more expensive over time. You're going to need milk and eggs when you're in your early 60s and when you're in your early 80s. You're going to get a loaf of bread, and it's going to be more expensive 20 years from now.
Christian Finfrock is the Madison Money Guy. Call him today at 208-1800.
Ben Bruss to tell you about one of my favorite teams in the area, Zimbrick European. For over 3 years, I've trusted them with my car buying process, and I'm never going anywhere else. From Mercedes, Audi, Porsche, their pre-owned and Sprinter vans, they have something for everyone. Don't drive something ordinary when you can drive something extraordinary. I love the sexiest car on the lot that I found this time, a nice Zimbrick Mercedes. Find what you love. Test drive, and they will make leasing affordable. Zimbrick European.
Jim Rutledge here to talk to you about North and South Seafood and Smokehouse, the official barbecue joint of Rutledge and Hamilton and the official barbecue joint of the Rutledge household. We love going to all three of their locations, whether it's in DeForest, Madison, or in Verona. We get the same great service and food every time we go, no matter the location. Even better, when we have parties, cookouts, or anything in between, I don't have to spend all my time over the grill. Instead, I give a call to the folks at North and South Seafood and Smokehouse. So hurry in to North and South Seafood and Smokehouse, the official barbecue joint of Rutledge and Hamilton and the official barbecue joint of the Rutledge household.
Working at a company that truly cares and invests in their employees should never be taken for granted. Work, learn, and earn at the Weld School at Stoughton Trailers. The program includes 1 week of paid training starting at $18 per hour and features small class sizes designed for individual attention. No prior experience is needed because teaching their employees is all part of the Stoughton Trailers way. Graduate into a full-time position in Stoughton or Evansville. Apply today at stojobs.com. That's stojobs.com.
Out with the new, in with the new.
Doc Rivers and the Milwaukee Bucks have something in common. They both have something to prove.
Madison's home for Doc Rivers and the Milwaukee Bucks is 100.5 ESPN.
Let's get to your calls. 844-770-3776. Let's start with Steve in Middleton. Steve, are you more of a skeptic or more of a believer in this hiring of Jeff Hafley?
I started out as skeptic, but
once I started reading some stuff and hearing some stuff about him, I'm more of a believer now. I think it's just wait and see, unlike the last guy that came in with all kinds of problems from previous jobs. I do think the college
Steve, hold on a second, and then I'll let you finish. And not to sound like Kanye West. So you were a skeptic when they hired Joe Barry, though. So it's noteworthy that you are open-minded and more believery in this hire than you were the last time. Fair?
Right. Yes, 100%. Because, I mean, when your defenses are like 28 and 29 from two different jobs, maybe one, but when you got two things like that, I think that's not a good situation.
Okay.
I do think leaving college head coaching is going to be more common, actually, because it's just the wild, wild west out there. There's no rules or regulations or anything, and I think these guys, more and more of them, are going to want to get out of that and go maybe be coordinators or something in the pros, because it's just hard to get a handle on it when you got players coming and going every year.
I agree, and Tausch, when this happened, and thanks for the call, Steve, the person I thought of was Jim Leonard. Because I said this earlier in the week, I haven't talked to Jimmy in a long time. I don't know if you've talked to him at any point, but I wonder what his career arc and his vision is now for this exact reason. Does he want to be a college head coach? Is he ready to jump to the NFL now when he wasn't ready to do it 3 years ago when Matt LaFleur was ready to hire him? I know his family, obviously, he was very happy with his family life in Madison. So I don't know what his goals are, but he's one of the people that I wonder about, whether he'd be like Hafley and say, you know what, I'd rather coach in the NFL than battle the battles that come with being a college head coach. I don't know the answer to that. I'm just saying he was the first person I thought of when I read this.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all understand the troubles with where college football is and the amount of added work that these head coaches have. But I'm telling you, people that are in places of power don't typically give up power very easily. And does that mean that you give up that job to go be a D coordinator is a big time job in the NFL, and especially for the Green Bay Packers. But being a head coach and running your own program, that is, for as many people as will say, well, my dream is to be a big time coach in the NFL. Coordinators is a lot of people's dreams, but when they get there, they want to be head coaches. And I would bet, I love the fact I want Jeff Hafley to want to be a head coach again. I don't want guys to be content just where they're at. So is this going to be more commonplace? I do think so, but I also think college will have to get its blank together sooner rather than later because you're going to see a mass deterioration. You're already seeing big-time coaches leaving willingly to take jobs beneath where they were, or at least in some people's minds. I think the NFL, being a D coordinator, is a great job, but being a head coach at a Power 5 conference is the goal for a lot of coaches to get to. And Hafley was one of those, and he willingly said, I want to go coach the Green Bay Packers defense. And I think we should be excited about that part of it, but also question – That's an interesting move for someone from a Power 5 conference.
No, it's a very good point that you make. Let's keep going with the calls. 844-770-3776. You don't just have to answer this question, but our overarching question is, are you more of a skeptic or more of a believer in this hire of Jeff Hafley as the Packers' new defensive coordinator? Let's go down to Lombard, Illinois, and talk to our old buddy John. John, good morning. How are you today?
I feel fine, thank you. I think believer is a little bit strong of a word. I'm going to say believer, but I would have preferred encouraged.
Okay.
But anyway, I am impressed with his resume. You mentioned being a co-defensive coordinator at Ohio State. That's true, but he was nonetheless a finalist for defensive coach of the year that year. And while he didn't win, his statistics in all defensive categories were extremely high.
Yeah, they were great that year defensively. The Buckeyes definitely were. You're right about that.
Now, could I just throw in, I've been reading a lot about this, and from what I could ascertain, he had two terrible last 2 years at Boston and college, and there was, this might be the handwriting on the wall that this is his last year, and was he thinking out that come December, would I rather be an ex-head coach in college, or would I rather be on a team that has a tremendous offense but an underperforming defense, and be striving and being in the playoffs and maybe being a serious Super Bowl contender? And lastly, if he's and as intelligent of a person as he appears to be, from what I could read, probably looking at guys like San Francisco. Two of their last two defensive coordinators became head coaches. So I'm literally encouraged, a believer in the gentleman.
Yeah, so these are all really good points, John, and thanks for the call. Yeah, first of all, I think it was Fangio, Saleh, and D'Amico Ryans all became head coaches after they were defensive coordinators in San Francisco. I do think, and we just got done talking about the challenges of coaching in college, Tausch, and you talked about how hard it is. I'm sure Luke Fickell can tell us all about the challenges of coaching right now in the college game. I don't know what the future held at Boston College for Jeff Hafley, but there were plenty of being bowl eligible 3 out of 4 years is not exactly a huge accomplishment to have on your resume. Mm-hmm. That is not something that people get excited about.
Agreed.
So to John's point, I don't know. I think he was coaching for his job this year if he stayed at Boston College.
Yeah,
and it would.
And I think that's also another component to this. There's all of the added things that we've already discussed, and then there's also the where's my career arc going.
Correct.
So I understand all of that, but it's still something that it's rare. It doesn't happen often, and I think should be looked at. That's all. Whether, the fact that the NFL is more stable and you understand that those things, if I was coaching, I'd much rather be an NFL coach than a college coach for quality of life and everything else. Because if you're a college coach, you can't turn anything off. It is on all the time. At least the NFL guys, they have their system. They get their break after the season. They get that summer. College coaches, you're on all the time. Yeah. And when you're in a position like Hafley was, where you have a bad year, you're going to get fired. That's you need to kind of be out ahead of it and kind of figure all that out. That's probably just a smart, good business decision by him. But that still is okay. Well, guys want to be head coaches. They do.
Right. 844-770-3776. 844-770-3776. More of your calls next. It's Wilde and Tausch.
Like, share, and follow ESPN Madison everywhere. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok for more great content from ESPN Madison. This is 100.5 ESPN and Wisconsin On Demand.
They say love is a universal language. Well, that's definitely true if you're talking about bacon. I mean, who doesn't love bacon? Forget the chocolates. Give the gift of bacon. It's everyone's love language. And you're going to love it that our bacon's on sale right now. With quick hot savings, we're taking bacon down to $2.49 a 12-ounce pack. Limit 2. Savings on bacon? Whoa, that's 2 love languages at once. And we're multilingual like that. Quick Trip. We're saving your bacon.
Rah. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin present your Badger Minute. Here's Alex Strofe.
This Badger Minute brought to you by your Badgerland Chevy dealers, proud supporters of Badger Athletics. Go to BadgerlandChevy.com. The Wisconsin Badgers men's basketball team is in sole possession of first place in the Big Ten and ranks number 6 in the country. The Badgers have a tough road test coming up on Thursday night as they head to Nebraska, a place in which they lost last year, before returning home Sunday to host number 2 Purdue. Head coach Greg Gard earlier in the week on the challenges ahead.
Head on a road to a place that no Big Ten team has won yet in Nebraska. Numbers, when you do the stat splits, are are unbelievable how much better they are at home.
Badgers Cornhuskers tip off tonight at 7:30 on Big Ten Network.
Get 0% interest for up to 3 years, or get no money down, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Visit PellaWI.com.
When it comes to mixing drugs, you may think you have a safe approach, but the bottom line is, mixing drugs is never safe. It can cause serious health problems like a heart attack or brain damage. Learn more at cdc.gov/stop-overdose.
Ever wonder how the best athletes find the power to jump higher, cut quicker, skate smoother, drive farther, and stick the landing? At Purveyor Orthopedics in Green Bay, we know power starts with the hips. That's why Dr. Michael Ryan and our team of experts provide comprehensive and advanced expertise in hip care, unlike anywhere else. Come to Purveyor Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, where we can preserve your hips so you can pursue your goals. Purveyor Orthopedics, specializing in you.
ESPN Wisconsin's Mark Tauscher here for my friends at Kohler Services. Well, you thinking about updating your bath or shower? Turn to Kohler Services for end-to-end bath and shower remodeling, where Kohler design consultants and installers do the work for you. Family owned for 150 years, Kohler is your Wisconsin manufacturer providing care for life. Start enjoying your bath or shower right now with a special offer. Visit KohlerServicesWI.com to request your free quote with fast, professional installation always included. That's KohlerServicesWI.com.
The area's best high school sports coverage is Zimbrick Honda's presentation of Prep Mania.
It's a state recruiting showcase Friday night on Zimbrick Honda's Prep Mania. 2025 recruit Davion Hanna and Nicolay visit Cedarburg. Coverage starts at 7 o'clock on 100.5 ESPN and the ESPN Madison YouTube channel.
Zimbrick Honda's Prep Mania is also brought to you by Canopy Wealth Management, Pasquale's Cantina, UW Credit Union, Stoughton Trailers, the GRB Academy, and Stoughton Health.
Cozy up your home with fresh cabinets from SprayNet of Southern Wisconsin. SprayNet knows that the kitchen is the heart of your home. Let them help you fall in love with it again. Quicker and more affordable than replacing your cabinets, SprayNet can have your kitchen cabinets looking like the day you first saw them. Their exclusive painting technology and technique will have your kitchen transformed in less than a week. Schedule an appointment today with Dale, the owner of SprayNet of Southern Wisconsin. Go to spraynet.com.
For official rules and more information about every contest on 100.5 ESPN, visit ESPNWisconsinContests.com. That's ESPNWisconsinContests.com. You're listening to 100.5 ESPN and the ESPN app.
Wilde and Tausch on 100.5 ESPN is brought to you by Everlight Solar. Save money, save the planet. Everlight Solar.
844-770-3776. Find a different camera angle here. Better, worse, same? For those of you on the video stream, I'm sure there'll be some YouTube comments.
That's probably better, I think.
Yeah, I put up a shelf in the commercial break. I'm very handy.
Looks a little messier.
Yeah, what do you got? Like, it looks like you had a bottle of like bourbon in a brown bag back there.
I got questions about what's in that bag.
And it looks like you had like a milk carton.
Yeah, I got.
Is that a gingerbread house?
I don't know. We'll go on a tour of my office a little bit later.
Are those your articles or are those someone else's articles on the wall?
Those are mine. Those are mine. Those are Oates's. Yes, big fan of Oates's work. It's my shrine to the retired Tom Oates from the Wisconsin State Journal. All right, let's get to your calls. 844-770-3776. 844-770-3776. Let's go to Mike in Texas. Mike, thanks for holding on. Are you more of a skeptic or more of a believer in this hire?
I keep on going back and forth. At first, I was a skeptic. I keep on. When I heard your live reaction talking to Homer, and obviously I became a skeptic then and there. But then I started reading some stuff, and I started becoming a believer. But then I read Rob Demoski's article about saying how he's his best friend or a good friend. And I think right now I'm a skeptic because I don't know how good of a friend he is with him. And my feeling is, if he's a really good friend, I'm afraid that he may not, he may be reluctant to not say something to him and not push back and not, be firm with him and just kind of let him do his thing. I don't know the relationship. So that's, I guess, where I'm skeptical. I don't know the relationships. And all what he's done before or not, it's hard to, that doesn't really tell you much.
So I think a couple things here. First of all,
Jason, what was your initial reaction on Homer's show? What got old boy being a skeptic listening to you being a skeptic?
I think it was a couple things, and it was before, like literally, for me anyway. And this is the beauty of live radio, is I was literally on hold with Chris Larson, and the news broke that Hafley was the guy. And so the segment starts, and I'm trying to Google him because, like I said, look, I'm not embarrassed by this. I didn't know who Jeff Hafley was. Didn't know. And if you heard Pete Thamel this morning on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, he mentioned, and I think Pete is actually really close with Jeff Hafley, closer than Matt LaFleur is, frankly. And he talked about how when you are a college coach, you want to keep the interview process under wraps because otherwise you're going to have the portal
and everybody
flooded.
else up on the East Coast saying, this guy's not even going to be here next year.
Right.
Syracuse
all those
coming
ACC
for him.
schools, yeah. So my point is I didn't know anything about him. So as I'm Googling and trying to talk to Homer, and Homer's interrupting me when I'm talking because that's what he does as well. Once we got nothing. I don't mean anything by that.
Nothing.
It wasn't until I got to the point in his resume that I realized he had coached under Robert Saleh that I felt better about this. Because let's be honest, if you looked at his resume and you take the Saleh piece out, which is the connective tissue between him and LaFleur, and then you think about the fact that Steno was on that staff, that Mike LaFleur was on that staff, so then you know that LaFleur has some familiarity with him. But to me, his resume from an NFL perspective is not that different than Zach Orr or Denard Wilson or anybody else. He's only been an assistant. He had not been a coordinator before. And so that was the thing that jumped out at me. Now, the head coaching piece is a double-edged sword in my mind, and you've articulated it better than I would. But the fact of the matter is, on one hand, you're saying, okay, this guy's been good enough to get a head coaching job at a Power 5 conference. On the other hand, you're saying he's leaving it to become a defensive coordinator in the NFL. So I'm not sure exactly how to weigh that. I think it's great for the Packers that a guy is willing to leave a Power 5 head coaching job to become a coordinator. But it does make you wonder why.
Yeah,
and we talked about the idea that he might have been getting out of town one step ahead of the posse.
I just wonder if I've ever heard or seen this from a great coach. Has a great coach ever done that? Great coaches have left. Nick Saban has left Miami and went back to college, and some would say that's so I'm sure it's happened, and we've seen this before. Rob Vogel sent a couple of other, but those were smaller schools, and there's a financial component. I'm guessing Green Bay made him whole with whatever BC was paying him. My guess is he's making more in Green Bay as a D coordinator. I think BC probably paid him $2-3 million a year. I would venture to say Green Bay is going to pay him more than that as the new DC. That would be my guess. Defensive coordinators make over $3 million a year now. That's where things are. So financially always needs to be a part of this process, and the fact that he probably realized if I don't have a good year, I'm out in BC, and I could probably get a 3 or 4 year deal with the Green Bay Packers on a really good young and up-and-coming team whose window is the best in the entire NFC.
As we discussed yesterday. 844-770-3776. Let's go to Laura in Pewaukee, which was one of the answers in yesterday's trivia.
Pewaukee, am I right? Pewaukee.
I think it was Wauwatosa West, but be that as it may.
Pewaukee does work better.
It does work.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Should consider that.
Hi, Laura. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning, guys. Pewaukee just kind of rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
It does. Trips off the tongue. Yep.
It does. I have to say, I think right now I'm definitely a skeptic on this hire. I don't know. I'm learning, listening to you guys more about him, but I'm a skeptic because he's a friend. And I don't think that worked out very well for LaFleur last time. I guess I was hoping he was going to get somebody who maybe was more experienced than he was to lead the defense. I guess that's just I was hoping. But, he's I think Matt's a little bit like Jason. He really likes the guy. So,
well done.
It's got a little something about it. But the question I guess I would have is there any chance you think Jim Leonard might come as a DB coach?
No.
Yeah, Tausch, what do you think? That's a great question,
I don't
Laura.
think he will.
I don't think he will, no. But I just don't. I think it's interesting that his name was never connected to this at all.
You said it wasn't going to. You're the one that said there's a lot of hurt feelings that I don't want to say the P word, but a lot of people that were irritated about how that played out.
I know.
So what are you shocked about?
Because when I said that, you told me that not everyone holds grudges like you do, Wilde. And you would have thought that if he was the guy last time, that you would have, and maybe LaFleur did.
Eddie Lacy was the guy in 2015. So now all of a sudden he's going to be the guy? Life comes at you quick. Things move quickly.
They do. I guess
Jeff Hafley was the head coach yesterday at a Power 5 conference.
He was.
Now he's not.
No, he's not. I still, and I'm going to reach out to Jimmy. I am just curious, and I don't think he'll want me to publicize it if he answers the question, but I do wonder what his kind of next act is. He's not just going to stay at Illinois as some sort of analyst, right?
How do you know?
That's no idea. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't fully understand. I mean, one of the great things about Wisconsin sports fans, we love our Wisconsin people. Trust me, I have benefited greatly from that, and I appreciate everybody. I really do, and I'm sure Jimmy does, and I'm sure every Wisconsin athlete does. But that doesn't mean that they're going to be the next defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers. Like, that's just not how this whole thing works. And for people that thought that was the case, I tried to tell you that wasn't going to happen.
We did tell you that. We did.
But you just were sitting there. I'm really curious about that.
No. I'm not curious. Let me.
You literally just said that.
No, I'm curious.
Jelly, did he not just say that?
Would you let me talk?
Of course you can talk. Always, buddy. Whenever you
want. Yes, interrupting, just like Homer. I'm really curious what exactly his path forward is. And
why are you curious about that today, though? Like I agree. I'm curious too. I'm intrigued what he ends up doing.
It's not top of mind. I'm more curious what people think of Jeff Hafley.
You're mentioning it at 10:03 on 2/1/24.
I am only meant Laura brought him up as a
You are the anti-Truman. Now you're throwing Laura.
I'm not at all. I'm not throwing him.
Oh, Laura.
The reason we're talking about Jim Leonard.
Why are you talking about Jim Leonard? Because Laura from Pewaukee said so?
Because Laura brought him up.
Laura, don't you dare. Shame on you, Laura.
When do you start your shift at Johnson & Sons Paving, and is there any chance they'll take you off my hands permanently?
Yeah, they may. They may, and you know what? Talking about Jimmy Leonard, and he's probably budgeting his 2024, trying to figure out what he's going to do, and if you're doing that, it's what we're doing here at Johnson & Sons as well. Now is the time to set preferred dates for booking Johnson & Sons Paving, whether it's asphalt or concrete. They set the standard. Maybe you need patching, but know you'll need a full repave later. We'll talk with a project manager. Set yourself up with a 5-year game plan. 2 civil engineers on staff and a team with 2 decades of experience. They've seen it all. Booking work now gives you all the time needed to get the right paperwork in place, and Johnson & Sons knows how to build whatever ideas you have the right way. And boy, I have big ideas. Glad I have Johnson & Sons that can help build it the right way. Get started now at johnsonsonspaving.com.
They are extremely successful as a company. They're a great partner. I personally would recommend that they put you in charge of asphalt. I think that would be a good role for you.
Why do you say that?
Just no reason. We'll kick off the 10 o'clock hour with more of your calls. 844-770-3776. 844-770-3776. Talk about your feelings on the Jeff Hafley hire. But the overarching question, are you more of a skeptic or more of a believer? Right now, with what you know, what you've read, what you've heard, about this hire. 844-770-3776. The 10 o'clock hour starts in 2 minutes. So stick around. It's Wilde and Tausch.
Don't go anywhere. Another hour of Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, is coming up next on ESPN Wisconsin, the ESPN app, and Wisconsin On Demand.
What is a better buying experience? Well, you're minutes away from a better buying experience at Simden Chevy in Mount Horeb. Jim Rutledge here. To me, a better buying experience is a personal experience. That's what Dan and his sales team have set up at Simden Chevy in Mount Horeb. You're going to have the experience that you're looking for. You're going to define what that better buying experience is for you, and they're going to get you in the vehicle that you need and that you want, whether it's new or new to you. So when you're looking for a better buying experience, go to Simden Chevy in Mount Horeb.
This is former Wisconsin linebacker Chris Orr. You're listening to 100.5 ESPN, WTLX, Monona, Madison, a Good Karma Brands radio station on Wisconsin.
Broadcasting live from the Everlight Solar Studio, this is your Metro Kia of Madison Sports Center.
Good morning, Madison and streamers everywhere. I'm Jesse Nelson, Sports Center, brought to you by Goodman's Jewelers, the diamond store of Madison for generations. Check them out at 220 State Street and online at goodmansjewelers.com. The Packers' search for a new defensive coordinator has concluded, and the guy getting the job is Jeff Hafley. Did you know who he was before yesterday? I didn't. Jeff Hafley, formerly the head coach of Boston College, where the team went 22-26 in his 4 seasons as the head coach from 2020 to 2023. ESPN college football writer Pete Thamel broke the story yesterday. He joined ESPN Milwaukee's Jen, Gabe, and Chewy this morning.
This isn't the first NFL franchise who's come after Jeff Hafley. There was even one franchise 2 or 3 years ago that looked at him to be the head coach. The college head coaches don't tend to be on the lists because if it got out that Jeff Hafley was interviewing for the Packers job, for example, it would undercut DC recruiting. Like, it's hard for head coaches to move. And that's why when head coaches like this do move, it happens quietly and quickly.
Find the full conversation available on Wisconsin On Demand and wherever you get your podcasts, and reactions to the hire up in Green Bay continuing next on Wilde and Tausch.
Metro Kia of Madison, Madison's trusted Kia dealer. Stop into Metro Kia on the east side of Madison or metrokiaofmadison.com.
Before we get to more of your calls to kick off the 10 o'clock hour.
Jason, why is everybody so worried about how good of friends these guys are? Is it the cronyism?
We don't like cronyism.
But I mean, the idea that they're like best buddies, who's a better buddy, Joe Barry or this guy with Matt?
Yeah, and I still think that the Joe Barry is Matt LaFleur's friend storyline was more than slightly overblown. Because, quite
where
frankly...
would he tier him? If Matt LaFleur was on with Jelly, where's he tiered?
I don't know, 4?
That's barely even an acquaintance.
Correct. This is what I'm saying.
So he's not getting invited to his wedding?
Ooh. Well, he's married already.
Well...
Hafley would get invited to his wedding now because Hafley's now.
No, they work together. Yeah,
you're working together. You can't be more. If you're working together and you get along, I don't think Joe Barry could be less than a tier 3.
I mean, you get invited, you just don't come.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah, that's just being a jerk.
Our rule was we invited people we worked with. We were also coming out of COVID, so there were some things we were dealing with. But we invited people we worked with, but you had to have worked together for over a year.
That was your principle?
Yeah, because if you otherwise you didn't really even know that person very well.
Interesting. Okay. Well, look, they have mutual friends to be sure. Whether or not I don't think Hafley got the job because he and LaFleur are BFFs. Now, do I think that his familiarity, and again, we'll talk to Matt at some point about this, but do I think that his familiarity and their connections with Saleh and Saleh being able to say, yeah, I really like this guy, he's a really sharp guy, do I think that factored into Jeff Hafley getting this job? Of course I do. But I don't think he hired them because they're friends. I do think, more than anything else, that the fact that he coached under Saleh and espouses some of those same ideas as a defensive coach, I think that probably factored in more than anything else. But I would think Tausch, if you're in this position and you're considering candidates, don't you talk to people that you know and whose opinions you value and ask them, hey, what do you think of these guys?
Yeah, of course you do. And you're doing that down in Mobile with different strength coaches and coaches there to get good insight. You want to be able to trust. These college coaches are going to shoot straight because they want you to trust what's going on and build those relationships. So, yeah, that's why I get it. I think that storyline was way overtold. This idea that Matt can't fire people because he's friends with them and anything else. I just don't think Matt LaFleur wants to fire people.
Right.
It's not about how good of buddies they are or anything else. It's about making the right decisions. And in this case, I don't want this narrative, and it seems like that's the part people are really latching onto if you don't like the hire. My point and my question is, at this point, there should be no reason that you don't at least are open to the hire.
Correct.
It didn't go well. That didn't finish great with Joe Barry. Y'all were really skeptical of Joe early on, too, and Jason never wanted him hired. Steve, the Homer True, never wanted. There's a lot of fans that felt that way because of his past track record.
And in fairness, wouldn't you say that we were right?
No. He wasn't wasn't garbage like you guys said he was going to be.
He wasn't terrible, but he wasn't good enough.
They just got to the NFC divisional round with this idea that Joe Barry is the worst defensive coordinator in the history of the world.
I didn't say he was the worst.
But you just said you kind of did.
No, I didn't.
So you would say his tenure as a defensive coordinator is an abject failure for the 3 years.
I would say I found myself wondering if he had gone with someone else, if they would have been better. Yes. If their defense would have been better, or if, as you have said many times on this show, doesn't matter if it's Joe Barry or Jero Evero or Jim Leonard or Mike Pettin, doesn't matter who it would have been, it's the worst job in the building, and we were going to complain about him no matter who he was.
It's a hard job, but I understand the frustrations, but I hate this narrative that he's like the worst defensive coordinator. He's
not the worst.
But that's the narrative, and you kind of are feeding it by saying, well, I didn't like it at all, and it was a bad move. Guys, he got you. You were the 1 seed, and they gave up 3 points, 6 points to the San Francisco 49ers in a playoff game when the money was on the table. You act as if he was god-awful. As if he was god-awful, and it's just not – the facts don't match that up.
That's not what I said. I didn't say he was god-awful. I said that I found myself wondering.
You said it was justified, and all of the stuff that y'all said.
About the hiring. Yes.
No. This is more than skepticism. You had vitriol with some of it.
I was not vitriolic against him.
You didn't like the Joe Barry hire at all, and then you continued you doubled down the entire time, even when things were going well. I had to at some point say you guys owe him an apology when things were going good. Yes, he wasn't the greatest. I'm not trying to say he's Fritz Shermer or Dom Capers by any stretch. He's not one of the greats. But y'all act like he was trash heap, and I'm saying it's not the case. That's not what the numbers tell you.
He had a 3-year run.
He was an average defensive coordinator.
Average. Right, and this is not Average Town. This is Title Town. And when there were when there were elimination games, and his unit was on the field against the San Francisco 49ers,
he gave up 6 points.
It doesn't matter. In the moments that mattered the most, when they needed a stop to prevent the go-ahead field goal with the number 1 overall seed, the most important number 1 overall seed in the history of football. They did not get a stop, and they gave up the game-winning field goal. When they needed a stop, when they had the lead in San Francisco, and they needed their defense to get the ball back and keep the lead, their defense failed. I don't care. I'm just telling you those are the facts.
I'm telling you they gave up 6 points. 6.
To a Jimmy Garoppolo-led offense that we all criticized.
That's who you played. You just shut out. You just crushed Dak Prescott, who had the greatest offense ever. And they got a bunch of garbage points at the end. So, yeah, he's not the greatest, but this idea that he's trash heap and everything else is just blown out of proportion. We were skeptical.
I am trying to explain to you why people are concerned about the friendship angle.
Yeah,
and it is because
understand.
they believe that Joe Barry was not qualified for the job, that he was a disappointment, that he wasn't good enough, and that he kept the job and got the job because he was friends with Matt LaFleur from when they worked together.
And
that's the perception.
Okay, and I am all in. I've said after the Carolina game that Joe Barry needed to move on. I thought his contract was up. That's what was reported by some.
After the Tampa game, were you saying that?
It was the same, kind of the same boat. Right. Carolina was even over the top. And I think this, by the way, this is the right move. But let's not get all crazy here and say that he is the worst thing since since unsliced bread.
Said that.
You just kind of did, and your tone was telling me
the worst thing since unsliced bread.
Your tone and everything was telling me that that's how. And it was, again, this is the stuff you hate, is when you make predictions and say things and then continue to push to make sure that that is validated. His performances at the end of seasons as the defensive coordinator are not nearly as bad as Packer fans want to make them. Did they make critical stops? They did not. And that deserves to be criticized. But this idea that their defenses were garbanzo and were the worst thing ever, it just doesn't match up with what actually happened. That's it.
Let's take a call. 844-770-3776. 844-770-3776. Let's go to JC in Milwaukee first. JC, good morning. How are you today?
Good. How are you guys? Hey, I don't want to jump off topic, but I would say Joe Barry was an above-average coach in big games. Hey, in big games, he was a way above-average coach, and I don't know if that's just because the players got up for the atmosphere of the game or what it was, but, I'm in Tausch's corner on that. I think if the offense goes out there and makes plays like Mahomes does, you don't even talk about this defense in those games because they win those games. So, but anyways, I don't want to get off topic. I think it's a pretty good hire, and I'm more on the, it's not a retread hire, which I like. Let's get something new in there, but at the same time, I feel like, you do have this window of this team that could make a really good run. So that's the only scary thing, bringing in somebody with not a lot of experience running a, professional defense as a coordinator. That's where I'm a little skeptical. But I do like the, bringing in some fresh blood in there and getting that perspective. But I am surprised that you guys think it's a step down because I'm looking at the big picture. And the big picture is if you want to be an NFL coach, you got to be an NFL coordinator first. So maybe that's his big picture going, you know what, I can get out of this NIL in this portal, garbage going on right now. I can be a coordinator in NFL, and if I come in and I do a good job in 3 years, now I'm talk of the town to get a head coaching job in the NFL. So I'll hang up and listen, but that's kind of my view on it.
So the question is, and it's a fair question, but let's say you own a landscaping company. It's a small, say it's a $10 million a year landscaping
Olson,
company.
Toon, Tauscher.
And you decide, you know what, it's getting to be tough to find labor. I'm stressed about this. I'm going to go over and work for Johnson & Sons. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go work at a paving company. And you were the owner, and you decide to go and be a foreman on a different crew. Does that mean it's a bad move? No. But when you own something, it's different, or when it's yours. It's just different, and that's a question that I'm intrigued by because hardly anybody does it. That's the question I have. Doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just a lot different mentality, and I know college football's setup right now is a big part of why that's the case, but it is just very rare. You don't typically see people that are in those roles leave to go coordinate or be a foreman when you were the owner and proprietor of that business. It's just different.
You're right. We'll get to more of your calls after Tausch tells us about his love of Coors Light, which I'm sure he and Jeff Hafley will sit down and talk about why he would go from owning his own landscaping company to joining Johnson & Sons Paving, other than the fact that Johnson & Sons is great, just like Coors Light is.
Coors Light, brewed with a 3-step cold process, cold lager, cold filtered, and it is cold packaged, so it is made to chill the mountains. Oh, baby, the mountains. On Coors Light's cold activated bottles and cans, they turn blue. That's when you know it is chilled to perfection. That's why it is Coors Light in my hand when I need a moment to chill. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
844-770-3776. More of your calls next. It's Wilde and Tausch.
This is Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Call Gina Della from Pella today, 855-PELLA-WI, and online at PellaWI.com/radio.
ESPN Wisconsin's Mark Tauscher here for my friends at Kohler Services. Well, you thinking about updating your bath or shower? Turn to Kohler Services for end-to-end bath and shower remodeling, where Kohler design consultants and installers do the work for you. Family-owned for 150 years, Kohler is your Wisconsin manufacturer providing care for life. Start enjoying your bath or shower right now with a special offer. Visit KohlerServicesWI.com to request your free quote with fast, professional installation always included. That's KohlerServicesWI.com.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
There are many players historically in all sports that have an average that they have in the regular season that dip in the postseason. Lamar's that guy now. Lamar is that guy. We're not asking him to be more than he was in the regular season. We're asking him to be the same. Lamar Jackson is not the same in the postseason as he is in the regular season. Simple as that. He is worse.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekdays from 5 to 9 on 100.5 ESPN.
Hey, it's Jason Wilding for Associated Bank. Here in Wisconsin, we love our sports year-round, right down to the Packers games and the Lambeau Snow. If you want to show your love for the green and gold every day, you got it with Associated Bank's exclusive Packers checking account. A one-of-a-kind debit card, a 10% discount at the Packers Pro Shop, plus everything you'll score as an Associated Bank customer. Best of all, you'll get a banking partner based right here in the Midwest. Visit AssociatedBank.com/Packers to get started today. You've got this with Associated Bank. Member FDIC.
Ever wonder how the best athletes find the power to jump higher, cut quicker, skate smoother, drive farther, and stick the landing? At Purveyor Orthopedics in Green Bay, we know power starts with the hips. That's why Dr. Michael Ryan and our team of experts provide comprehensive and advanced expertise in hip care, unlike anywhere else. Come to Purveyor Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, where we can preserve your hips so you can pursue your goals. Purveyor Orthopedics, specializing in you.
Hey Wayne, shopping for a new door? Do you need something more dependable?
Yes, something that's durable, dent resistant, knows how to take a hit, and is going to last for years.
We're still talking about the door, right?
Oh yeah, right, of course.
Wayne Larrabee and Jeff Levering shopping together at Pella? What next? How about 0% interest for up to 3 years? Or no money down, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Complex 22924.
Your Honda gets you everywhere. When it needs service, you need Zimbrick Honda Service. Their customer service is second to none, and you can experience it yourself at 2 convenient Madison locations on Fish Hatchery Road and Grand Canyon Drive. Honda certified technicians handle it all. You can even get flexible payment options. Fix your car now and pay later. Apply online to see your options in seconds with no hard credit check. Make your service appointment online at ZimbrickHonda.com. Zimbrick Honda Service Center on Fish Hatchery Road and Grand Canyon Drive. Part of the Madison community since 1973. Shop Zimbrick Honda.
988 Wisconsin Lifeline. How can I help you?
Share hope, find purpose when you become a 988 Wisconsin Lifeline counselor. The 988 Wisconsin Lifeline provides free and confidential support to anyone experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis. Staffed by Family Services, 988 has experienced tremendous growth, and more statewide counselors are needed to answer calls, texts, and chats to the Lifeline. If you want to share hope and find purpose in your next job, apply now. You can work remotely from anywhere in Wisconsin. Training is provided and flexible hours are available. 988 Wisconsin Lifeline counselors enjoy competitive compensation and benefits packages. Most importantly, you can share hope and find purpose when you become a 988 Wisconsin Lifeline counselor. Apply today at 988lifelinecounselor.org. Family Services is an equal opportunity employer.
Paid for by grants from SAMHSA and the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
The Milwaukee Bucks, the Dallas Mavericks.
Long three from Lopez, and he hits from Dame range.
Saturday on Madison's home of the Bucks, 100.5 ESPN.
Jeff Hafley is the Green Bay Packers' new defensive coordinator. Are you more of a skeptic or more of a believer in this hire?
And, interesting enough, last of the head jobs are gone. And Dallas and Mike McCarthy on a one-year deal is going to need to hire a defensive coordinator because, oh boy, Quinny boy is leaving for that Washington job.
Dan, I believe that's what I was about to share when we got off on the Joe Barry is the worst thing since unsliced bread tangent. Dan Quinn is the new head coach of the Washington Commanders, the former Atlanta Falcons head coach, the former Seattle Seahawks defensive coordinator, and the guy that was over Mike McCarthy's shoulder.
With his hat flipped backwards. That is going to be a tough hire for Mike because he's got 1 year left on his deal.
You promote Al Harris? Do you promote Joe Witt?
I know somebody looking for work with defensive coordinator experience.
Could you imagine Bill Belichick going down there and being the DC?
I think Jesse meant Joe Barry.
Well, not according to you guys. God,
let's get back to the calls.
Vitriol,
yes. I have some vitriol, all right. Not necessarily for Joe Barry. 844-770-3776. Let's go to Spencer in Minnesota. Spencer, good morning. Thanks for holding. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I'm a believer in the hire. I mean, obviously, when his name popped up, like you guys, I had no idea who he was. But, I mean, someone who's worked in a bunch of different systems, felt like Barry was getting stagnant at times. I mean, I know you guys just are the whole Barry debate there, but it feels like
please.
Jeff's approval rating right now is higher than. Yeah, I don't want to do that, but it feels like Jeff's approval rating right now is higher than Barry's probably ever was. I'd say, at least with those defensive performances in the playoffs, it was usually came with a loss, so there wasn't any real high after that. The only real negative is it sounds like Jeff was on the hot seat in November, kind of like Matt was too. So that's the thing that is, a little skeptical, I guess. But, I mean, he sounds like a smart guy. The few clips you hear from him, he's said a lot better things than I think I ever heard Barry talk about scheme or, ideas that he wants to implement in the defense. Joe always seemed very vague on everything. But what I'm most curious about is to see what happens with this defensive coaching staff, because the longer this went on too, I did some digging, and it doesn't look like Matt has ever fired a single position coach on the defensive side of the ball since taking over. Like Jason Simmons went on to, it seems like that was a mutual parting so we could go to someone he worked with before, Mike Smith with Pettin, and then obviously Jerry Gray going with Atlanta. And then Tom Silverstein's piece last night said that when Joe Barry was hired, he wasn't allowed to take any position coaches or hire or fire anyone. So I'm curious to see what happens there because, once again, it's a different system. And I don't know if a new guy would want to keep everyone around. And on top of that, I wonder if this is another thing, a guy you've mentioned a lot, Jason, is Ryan Downard, who always was sitting next to Joe Barry during the games when he was calling plays up in the booth. I wonder if his name is going to come up a lot more now because you keep saying how smart he is, and he has this connection with Jeff as well. So I wonder if he's going to be, if say everything goes really well, and this is way, way ahead, I wonder if Ryan Downer would be the next DC if Jeff moved on down the line, if everything goes really well.
So, Spencer, great points, and I think that this is an interesting aspect to the uncertainty of what comes next because my understanding is nothing has been decided one way or the other about the position coaches.
You want to make a wager?
Not particularly. What would you like to
I would
suggest?
bet that there's going to be no turnover. I think they're going to keep everybody but JB and bring in old boy. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, and I brought this up yesterday when I was talking to Homer after the news broke. It is interesting that when Joe Barry came in, everyone stayed the same. It was the same staff that on the defensive side of the ball, and that could happen again. My biggest thing about this, Tausch, is what makes a really, 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 really good defensive coordinator?
Good players.
Really good players.
That helps, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm really curious how we view what they have personnel-wise defensively. And there's obviously questions at safety. They have 2 guys under contract currently.
Do you have Joe Barry's number?
I do.
I think it would be fascinating to get Joe Barry on and ask him those questions. I'd be fascinated.
And do you think Joe Barry would do that?
He has complete... Yeah, once he gets hired somewhere else, he probably won't. But if he's out, I think it'd be fascinating for him to answer that question. How do you feel about that? Because he's out of it now. He's not going to be back in Green Bay, even though some people, Matt Coonan, thought that this was like an acronym for Jeff Hafley was an acronym for Joe Barry. I am it's a really interesting question. And especially when you start looking at the injury and some of the consternation some of your best players had with you as the coordinator, how much of that affected how well your defense played? All of those things are fascinating to me.
We'll get to more of your calls. 844-770-3776. The Packers have hired Jeff Hafley. That is not an alias.
I'm really surprised Washington. So they obviously were thinking.
They thought they were getting Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson. Well, we think. We don't know that. Adam Schefter said he didn't think he was going to go. Shefty knows. And you don't even think about bringing in Belichick? You hire all these wizards. The dude from the Golden State Warriors. All these geniuses that are new age. The dude from Fanatics and all this. What a bunch of smart cats. And they up with Dan Quinn. You see what the Packers did to Dan Quinn? Huh? Did y'all see that?
He's the worst thing since unsliced bread.
And Joe Barry's the worst coordinator ever, but Dan Quinn's a genius. Dan Quinn blew a 28-3 lead in a Super Bowl, and Dan Quinn's a genius and Joe Barry's a moron. That's why I get irritated when I hear that stuff.
I don't remember anybody saying those things. All right.
He just got hired as a head coach by supposedly young, new-aged gurus. Magic Johnson's up there. All these new-age, brainiac NFL people. And they hired Dan Quinn. Let me tell you something. Joe Barry's postseason performance better than Dan Quinn's. Believe that. Believe that.
Also believe that if you have been injured in a serious accident, you should call Gruber Law Offices.
Dan Quinn. That's the new age great hire.
You're in a mood today. I'm
not in a
quite
mood.
Sure you're kind of Dan Quinn. Joe Barry's not a moron. No one said Joe Barry was a moron.
You inundated that, though, and you know you did.
I didn't inundate it. You're saying that I intimated it.
Inundate is not the word you were looking for there.
What's the word I was looking for?
Intimated. Insinuated.
Insinuated.
Implied.
Did Jason, did he imply, not that he's a moron, but that he was a terrible defensive coordinator?
But you just said that's what I implied or inundated, that he was a moron, and I didn't. You just admitted that can I just tell you about Gruber Law Offices and gets more calls?
In fairness, I've heard more than one person that I've watched games with say Joe Barry is a moron.
Yeah. Well, you and I never watched games together, Jesse, just like I didn't come to your wedding. Gruber Law Offices, one call, that's all. David and his team have been doing this for more than 3 decades. They are your first call. They should be your only call if you need legal representation because you've been in a serious accident. One call, that's all. 414-276-6666, 414-276-6666, or go online, gruber-law.com. Find out more about the firm there. More of your calls, eventually trivia, but more of your calls and texts next. The Packers have their defensive coordinator. How do you feel about it? 844-770-3776. It's Wilde and Tausch.
This is Wilde and Tausch, driven by Zimbrick Chevrolet in Sun Prairie on 100.5 ESPN. See their full inventory at ZimbrickChevrolet.com.
Ben Brust here to tell you about the Princeton Club. I joined the Princeton Club because I was looking for a place I could invest in my health, and the environment and the community I have felt has made it so easy for me to incorporate it into my everyday life. It doesn't matter where you're at in your fitness journey because they have something to offer everyone. It also goes beyond fitness. From the moment you walk in the club to the moment you walk out, there is a togetherness felt throughout the members and staff that keeps you going for your better tomorrow. Don't wait any longer and get started on your fitness journey today at PrincetonClub.net. That's PrincetonClub.net.
UW Credit Union presents the Prep Mania Student Athlete of the Week, supporting local student athletes as they grow on the field, in the classroom, and in the community. UW Credit Union is here for every you. Learn more at uwcu.org. Here's Dennis Semra with the UW Credit Union Student Athlete of the Week.
Our ESPN Madison UW Credit Union Student Athlete of the Week, Kira Jones. Welcome.
Hey.
When was the first time you picked up a basketball?
I think I was like 6, and then like about 8th grade, I started taking it serious, falling in love with it, going to the gym with my brothers.
Now you want to go on and play in college. How's recruiting? You getting some interest?
Yeah, I'm getting recruited. I got my first D2 offer a couple of days ago. I'm happy about that.
And what do you want to study in college?
Kinesiology. I want to be a physical trainer or a coach.
Coach, now you do some work and MSCR.
I like working with MSCR because I love working with kids. I think it's because I only have one nephew, so I was rarely around kids and I'm the baby.
Well, East Side Pride, that's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Being a PERG holder, what does that mean to you?
Being a leader, East presents that, wanting more leaders. A lot of leaders came out of the school.
I'm Shanola Hampton. I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
You'll notice that some jewelry stores in the area are giving big, deep down discounts, as much as 60%. But you know what they're doing, don't you? They're just marking it up to mark it down. That's why for over 30 years, Chalmers Jewelers has offered you truth in pricing. You will always find great value on unique custom jewelry at Chalmers Jewelers, either in-store or chalmersjewelers.com.
Chalmers Jewelers in Middleton
And Madison.
There's a good chance if you watch sports, you're getting served information about hormone optimization. What does that even mean? Dr. Ness Rodriguez at Carbon World Health can tell you exactly what hormone optimization means. He will take your blood work and let you know if it's right for you. If you're feeling sluggish, not losing weight like you used to, you're not gaining muscle like you used to, or you just don't feel like yourself in most aspects of your life, go see Dr. Ness Rodriguez at Carbon World Health. In fact, sign up for the 6-week experience so you can see everything that Carbon World Health has to offer, including hormone optimization. Learn more at carbonworldhealth.com.
Hey, it's Bobby Portis, and I love playing basketball in Milwaukee. When I drive down the lane, I move fast and make sudden moves to drive to the hoop and score. But when I'm behind the wheel in the driving lane, I control my drive. I don't speed or make sudden movements. Speeding and reckless driving are the leading causes of traffic injuries and deaths in Wisconsin. Do what I do. Control your drive. Don't speed. Don't be reckless. Zero in Wisconsin. Together we can save lives. Wisconsin DOT.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
There are many players historically in all sports that have an average that they have in the regular season that dip in the postseason. Lamar's that guy now. Lamar is that guy. We're not asking him to be more than he was in the regular season. We're asking him to be the same. Lamar Jackson is not the same in the postseason as he is in the regular season. Simple as that. He is worse.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekdays from 5 to 9 on 100.5 ESPN.
When it comes to mixing drugs, you may think you have a safe approach, but the bottom line is, mixing drugs is never safe. It can cause serious health problems like a heart attack or brain damage. Learn more at cdc.gov/stop-overdose.
Saturday on ESPN Radio, it's a top 10 showdown in the Big 12. The 4th-ranked Houston Cougars storm into Allen Fieldhouse to face the 8th-ranked Kansas Jayhawks. Coverage begins Saturday at 3:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN. Presented by Robinhood.
'Cause I'm a hazard to myself. Don't let me get beat. I'm my own worst enemy. It's bad when you know yourself. So irritating. Don't wanna be my friend no more. I wanna be somebody else. Yeah. Don't let me get down.
Love all the calls. Keep them coming. 844-770-3776. Let's get back to the phones. Jeff Hafley is your new Green Bay Packers defensive coordinator. Are you a skeptic or are you a believer? More so, one or the other. Again, none of us knows. But as of right now, the poll question, which is approaching 1,000 votes, 77.6% of you more of a believer.
Yeah.
22.4% of you more of a skeptic.
It's just a lot more fun to believe that this could be a great hire. Again, what was happening wasn't good enough. Wasn't brutal, but it wasn't good enough to, and Jason, you brought this up, the Titletown component to it. The defense hadn't made the steps, especially when you start looking at the amount of capital that has been put into it.
Yep.
If you look at what's the salary cap spread on no dead cap, and don't count D-Bach because he didn't play.
Correct.
What was the amount of money spent on the offensive side of the ball compared to the defensive side last year? In this league, it's never close unless you have a Brock Purdy or a rookie contract for a quarterback. And this year, it had to have skewed heavy, and it will again next year on the defensive side of the ball. And I think why
Gary, Alexander,
Kenny, and I think that's where the disappointment comes from, and that's where I'd be curious. Joe Barry's belief is, whether it was him and his scheme and his system, or the players,
or the players not believing in a scheme.
And
which
Jeff
is problematic.
Hafley is going to have to tell his why.
He's going to have to.
And I think it'll be a fun transition that I think he is going to get a lot of leeway early. But I promise you, if we play Detroit, and it's a big game over Thanksgiving, and the defense gives up 35, and Amon St. Brown is catching 8-yard passes on 3rd and 6, I can assure you the Fire Hafley hashtag will be alive and well. And I'm sure he knows what he's getting himself into, because I don't know if there is a more difficult job as a defensive coordinator in the entire universe than doing it in Green Bay. I don't know.
Oh,
if somebody could tell me where it is, I'm open to hearing about it.
Uranus.
You're such a child.
You said the universe. Uranus's defensive coordinator. Never mind. 844-770-3776. That's underrated. You can call me a moron if you'd like, since you claim that I called Joe Barry one. Let's get back to your calls.
I would never call you a moron. Not at least to your face.
Let's go to Chris in Muskego. Chris, thanks for holding on. Good morning. How you feeling about Jeff Hafley?
Well, I'm a skeptic simply because like 99% of the Packer Nation don't know much or anything about the gentleman. But on the other side, I'm looking forward to see if he's going to be a teacher. We need help in the backfield, and that seems to be his strength, is coaching defensive backs and safeties, which we all know we need a lot of help there. My other question is he going to be a good teacher? You need someone who can get through to the young guys and teach it.
Yeah.
I mean, what could have been Barry is not – I'm not going to knock Barry at all. That he's gone. But was he a good teacher? I mean, you had Savage, his first year or two under Pettin, looked like we hit a home run under the first-round pick. And then you got Owen Burks that we can never find a spot for. He's not a superstar for San Francisco, but he sure is productive for him. And those are two guys that I look at and say, why didn't they have that success here? What stopped them from having that kind of success here? Is it the scheme? Was it the coach? But it's like, I'll let you know in a year or so what the true thought is on the hire, because just like any draft pick, it takes a couple of years before you really know what you got.
Yep.
So it's for anybody to be saying whatever. And I don't think there's anything to do with friendship. I think LaFleur asked his friends about this guy that knew him like he should do.
I
agree. His due diligence, but I don't think there's no friendship between him and the coordinator. I think he knew who he was, but he had a lot of questions about him. But it's not like he worked with him like he did with Barry and say, okay, I got to find one. My first guy is not going to go here. I got to get somebody. And he took a shot with Barry, and that was that. He was kind of caught between a rock and a hard place when he hired Barry. And as far as the defensive coaches, they're under contract for 24. You're not going to see a big change because Green Bay ain't going to want to pay them, let them go, and let him hire a bunch of new guys. So they're going to be here for next year. We'll see 2 years from now when they're no longer on the contract if he has a chance to rebuild his defensive staff.
Yeah, I'm curious about that aspect. Chris, I think you made a really good point. Thanks for the call. The point that he makes there, Tausch, though, about a year or two, on the flip side, you look at Dom Capers, the Fire Capers hashtag, his 09 and 10 defenses, you were on those teams. Those are really good defenses.
11 stunk.
Right. And so even, it's the ebb and flow of the job. And I go back to the investment, your point about the cap allocation, but just more significantly the draft capital, They have done a lot of investing on that side of the ball. And whether it's Joe Barry, whether it's the wrong players, whether it's just really hard to play defense in the NFL and be dominant like some of these defenses have been able to do, or if it's a combination of all of them, their defenses have not been good enough. Now, there's been times when their offenses haven't been good enough either. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But they have not gotten it done. And I do think just as much as the Joe Barry, his Washington and Detroit defenses weren't very good statistically, I do think the fact that it came out, much to, I'm sure, Matt LaFleur's chagrin, that he wasn't the first choice, no one ever gets excited after that about people that aren't the first choice. You didn't get the guy you really wanted, so you settled for this guy.
Yeah, and then that narrative continues to just multiply out as his, it's already a difficult job. Then you get it that you're the second or third choice. Then you have a couple of bad games, and it's a force multiplier against him. And again, not saying that his defenses were star-spangled awesome. All I'm saying is they weren't god-awful like everybody is trying to spin now.
No one is saying he's a moron.
Especially when you start looking at postseason stuff.
All right, I know we've got 6 people on hold. I want to keep going with calls, but before we break, I do want to get to Nick in Boston.
Chowder! He's probably having a cup of chowder.
Nick is a BC student.
Okay.
Listening to our show instead of going to class. So I have to wonder exactly about his academics. Nick, good morning. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Why aren't you in class?
I was hoping for a thick Boston accent, too.
Yeah, no, I had class this morning. I'm actually from southeastern Wisconsin and did my undergrad here. I'm back here for grad school.
Nice. Love it. All right, tell us what you feel and think about Jeff Hafley. You've got a different perspective than anyone else who's called.
Absolutely. So I think one of the big things, there's a lot of questions about his resume, but I think the structure here at BC has not been good to him. So he was actually hired by Martin Jarman, who ended up defecting to go to UCLA and took over that program. And then we hired Pat Kraft, and after 2 years, he left to go to Penn State. So we're on our third athletic director since Hafley's been hired. And additionally, we don't really have the strongest NIL pool, so he hasn't been able to compete the same way that the Florida State, the Clemsons, the other ACC teams can.
So those are strikes against BC, but I assume you've been to your share of Eagles games and you're a fan. Being back at school there, what did you think of his teams and his defenses?
Yes. So I really think that he's able to fire everybody up. And I know that's something that we've been looking for with the Packers that we haven't necessarily seen in recent years, but a lot of the culture we have here, he gets the fans involved. There's this huge campaign, the Get In campaign, to get everyone to buy in. We'll see if that works in Green Bay. But I really think that he's got a chance to really unify the fan base. As well as, I don't know if I just started calling in and listening to the show, but Jeff Okudah, 3rd overall pick from Ohio State. He coached that guy, and Okudah hasn't really been terrific in the NFL, but it seems that Hafley really got the best out of him.
Yeah, and thanks for the call, Nick. We appreciate your insights, and now get back to class. But here's the thing, Tausch. I understand that this was an out of the blue hire because none of us had him on the radar of, Matt LaFleur has interviewed Zach Orr. Matt LaFleur has interviewed Denard Wilson. If you look at their resumes, those guys haven't been coordinators either. Mm-hmm. They were veteran, position coaches in the NFL, and that's usually the arc, right? You're a player potentially, then you're a position coach, then you become a defensive coordinator. You got to get your first opportunity. Ejiro Evero got his first opportunity as a coordinator in Denver. So just because he wasn't on our radar, I think there is a little bit of a perception issue because, I hadn't heard about him being a candidate. But you look at his resume before he went to BC or before he went to Ohio State, he was a position coach in the NFL for a pretty long time, about a decade. So it's not like he doesn't have NFL history on his resume and hasn't coached some pretty good players, including Darrelle Revis, by the way, in Tampa.
Revis Island. Yeah, you know what? I think that was a very informative call for me.
Agreed.
Because I wanted to understand this movement. And just like players, when there's a new coach, that's always kind of, oh, boy, he didn't know about me. He didn't know anything about me. When you have ADs, coaches need to feel like the AD has their back. And when you're on your third AD, at some point you're like, I don't know, this administration is just ugh. And then you start talking about not being able to compete NIL-wise. You can't compete NIL-wise, you can't compete. We've seen that throughout the league. And
you're done.
The fact that that's the case, it makes me a lot more accepting of taking that demotion and going down, even though it's probably not a financial thing. That makes me understand and comprehend a lot better why Hafley would do that. Mm-hmm. So, really good call, although I'm bummed that he didn't have any type of Bostonian accent.
He's from southeastern Wisconsin.
Can't believe Jelly didn't jump in with his Boston.
You think he's from Grafton or Cedarburg, or is he a little further south than that? He's over in Waukesha, north-south?
I don't have a good Boston accent either. I'm a Muskego. He could have been a Muskegon.
Wauwatosa, huh?
Tausch doesn't do Boston accents. He only does Irish pirates.
McWanago.
844-770-3776.
Dumpster McWanago.
Let me know when you guys are done.
I think we're good.
We'll get some more of your calls. If you're on hold, stay there. More of your calls next. Jeff Hafley is the Green Bay Packers' new defensive coordinator. How do you feel about it? Are you a skeptic, more of a skeptic, or more of a believer about this hire? We'll take more calls next. It's Wilde and Tausch.
Tonight on the NBA on ESPN Radio, one of the NBA's fiercest rivalries opens another chapter. LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers storm into TD Garden to face Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics.
Tonight on 100.5 ESPN.
To those who've ever dreamt of their perfect event, those dreams are worthy and they are possible. Hi, it's Jeffrey from Celebrations Entertainment. With hard work, passion, and great music, we will make your event dreams a reality. Every event is a labor of love, with one-on-one planning, customization, and flawless execution. Bringing your event to life is what we do. For a fun, memorable event, visit celebrationsentertainment.com. That's celebrationsentertainment.com.
Rah. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin present your Badger Minute. Here's Alex Strofe.
This Badger Minute brought to you by Stoughton Trailers. Big trailers and big opportunity at Stoughton Trailers. Positions now open in production, operations, finance, sales, engineering, supply chain, and more. To apply today, go to stojobs.com. The Wisconsin Badgers men's basketball team is in sole possession of first place in the Big Ten and ranks number 6 in the country. The Badgers have a tough road test coming up on Thursday night as they head to Nebraska, a place in which they lost last year, before returning home Sunday to host number 2 Purdue. Head coach Greg Gard earlier in the week on the challenges ahead.
Head on the road to a place that no Big Ten team has won yet in Nebraska. Numbers, when you do the stat splits, are unbelievable of how much better they are at home.
Badgers Cornhuskers tip off tonight at 7:30 on Big Ten Network.
Get 0% interest for up to 3 years, or get no money down, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Visit PellaWI.com.
What is a better buying experience? Well, you're minutes away from a better buying experience at Simden Chevy in Mount Horeb. Jim Rutledge here. To me, a better buying experience is a personal experience. That's what Dan and his sales team have set up at Simden Chevy in Mount Horeb. You're going to have the experience that you're looking for. You're going to define what that better buying experience is for you, and they're going to get you in the vehicle that you need and that you want, whether it's new or new to you. So when you're looking for a better buying experience, go to Simden Chevy in Mount Horeb.
Spring will be here before you know it, and so will Mark Osiki's 6th annual Casting for Kids Fishing Tournament, Saturday, May 18th on the Madison Chain of Lakes. Created to help children who are fighting cancer at American Family Children's Hospital, UW Carbone Cancer Center. There's a limit of 80 boats for a fun day on the water before 2:30 happy hour at Alliant Energy Center, a silent auction, dinner, and a live auction at 4 o'clock. Help us help the kids. Casting for Kids, Saturday, May 18th. Sign up or donate at castingforkids.org.
When it comes to security for your home and family, you want a winner, and we found one when we placed our trust with J&K Security Solutions. This is Greg Gard. Kim and Jeff hit the game-winning shot for us with the Control 4 home technology system. Home or away, from our smartphones, we can open the garage door, dim the lights, turn on the TV, as well as arm the security system. That's convenience as well as peace of mind. Let J&K Security Solutions do for your home or business like they've done for us. Call 255-5799 or online at jksecurity.com.
big trailers, and big opportunity. Since 1962, Stoughton Trailers has been a family-owned and operated business. With competitive wages and excellent benefits, plus growth and advancement opportunities, Stoughton Trailers is an exciting place to grow your career. Join the collaboration, innovation, and dynamic team atmosphere at Stoughton Trailers, with positions now open in production, operations, finance, sales, engineering, supply chain, and more. Go to stojobs.com to apply today. Stoughton Trailers, big trailers, big opportunity.
Skilled trade workers are the backbone of every community, and also the Army National Guard. Soldiers trained to keep the power flowing, engines running, and in every other trade needed to accomplish the mission. These soldiers are on the fast track to learning skills that can set them up for success at home with companies looking to hire the best. Their resumes are being built through their paid training and part-time service. Find out how you too can learn a trade profession by visiting NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
On the air, on demand, on social, on Wisconsin Sports. Serving Wisconsin sports fans. This is 100.5 ESPN.
Let's get back to your calls. I always appreciate everyone calling, and I try to get to you as fast as I can. But hey, we also have a Packers Hall of Famer who has all
what
kinds of
metric
insights
do you
for
think
us.
we're going to be judging old Hafley by? Like, what is going to be success?
Super Bowls.
So if we win 51-45, we're fine.
Got to win a Super Bowl.
Okay, so but it gives up 45, we're fine with it, right?
Did they win the Super Bowl or not?
Okay, that's the only metric we care about.
No, of course not.
Well,
I was just.
No, I'm asking.
I understand.
Okay.
I'm not allowed to have fun with you. What is with you today?
I don't know. What do you mean? You're
I don't know.
projecting. I know you're projecting a
Oh,
lot
I'm
on
projecting.
me, but you're projecting for sure. Let's get to the calls.
All right, 844-770-3776. Look, Joe Barry's defense was 10th in the league in scoring defense. Is that good enough next year?
Obviously, no.
They were
it's not.
They were 17th. They were 17th in yardage. They were pretty low on third down defense. They were pretty high in red zone defense.
I think turnovers to me is going to be a huge metric moving
They
forward.
weren't very good there.
Aggressiveness and third down red zone turnovers. Those are the three things I'm interested in because that will dictate how many points you give up, et cetera, et cetera.
All right, so here you go, real quick, and then we'll get to your calls. 10th in scoring defense, 17th in total defense, 28th in run defense, 9th in pass defense, 25th in third down defense.
Not good enough.
9th in red zone defense.
Pretty good.
Tied for 16th in sacks.
Very average.
Tied for 23rd in takeaways.
That's where that to me, along with the was the red zone the 26th? Was that the
No,
other
red
one?
zone they were 9th, 25th on third down.
Yeah, third down but that comes with sacks and everything else. So that's the
Yeah.
aggressiveness nature of it. But that's why I was trying to reiterate, yeah, there's some flaws for sure, but there were some good things. You're top 10 in a couple of pretty key metrics as far as how you're judging a defense.
No doubt about it. 844-770-3776, 844-770-3776. Let's go out to Heartland and talk to Keith. Keith, thanks for holding on so long, buddy. What do you got for us?
Hey, I think this is a step in the right direction, but not necessarily so much because of Hafley. I think it's hard to really know what he's going to bring, but I think this finally addresses I think what has been a long-term disconnect between the guys we draft and the scheme we play. So, I think this goes back into even Ted Thompson's time, but, we've really tied the hands of our defensive coordinators by drafting guys who are good football players, but not necessarily good in their scheme. So, I think Joe Barry is probably a solid defensive coordinator, but we have linebackers that can't drop into coverage. We have defensive linemen that don't really eat up blocks. And we had a secondary that was 3 first-round draft picks who hardly ever played, and everybody else that was there is either a 7th-round rookie or somebody else's cast-off. And, it's hard for anybody to be good with that. So I do think the current front 7 we have lines up a lot better for a 4-man front. And I think if, Goody's been, basically been drafting guys for a 4-3, and we've been playing a 3-4. So I think if we can get on the same page with that, and I don't know if that's necessarily Goody's fault, because I don't know if those 3-4 players are available. I think they're hard to find, the really good ones. But at least our scheme and the guys we're bringing into it are a better match, and that gives you a more solid platform for improving. So that's
great
that's
call, Keith. That's because I want to get into that, and I want to get some more calls in the 11 o'clock hour. But Tausch, I look at Lucas Van Ness, who played all across the defensive line at Iowa. He can certainly be a defensive end in a 4-3. Now, again, the base defense in today's NFL is nickel.
Oh, boy.
And even though I got made fun of by the head coach,
2-man line,
I understand.
3-man line.
Yeah, I understand. But my point is...
Do you?
I do.
It's certainly...
I do.
Okay.
I do. It didn't...
Didn't sound like it that day. But
maybe I could have phrased it differently, but I think he knew what I meant. And I think he knew how bad that defensive look looked on the play to which I was referring. But be that as it may,
Do you
the
think
bottom
Preston
line is...
Smith will still play any corner in this defense?
Another great question. See, there's another one. There's a guy who I think can play defensive end in a 4-3. He did it.
I think he's more built to be a stand-up guy, though.
But here's the guy that I'm curious about, because you just gave him a $96 million extension. When I look at Rashawn Gary, he is a lot slimmer and more svelte, more racehorse than he was when he got here in 19, because he had his hand in the dirt a lot at Michigan, right? And so I am curious what this means for him. I'm not saying this is the Aaron Campman in reverse, right? When Aaron Campman had been a great 4-3 defensive end, been to a couple of Pro Bowls, and then Dom Capers comes in, and Campy was a man without a country, basically. I'm not saying that that's what's happening here, but I am curious, how do you think Rashawn Gary will fit into this system as an elite or on the cusp of elite pass rusher in a 3-4? Do you bulk him up a little bit more? Because one thing he was not great at, and I think most people would agree, Rashawn Gary not the greatest at setting the edge against the run. That is not his strength.
It's a big buzzword, set the edge. Yeah, I think Rashawn Gary will be fine in either system. He is physical and tough, and as far as setting the edge and doing all that, that's some schematic things too. Is he the best run defender? No, he's got to grow into that yet. But again, he was coming off of an ACL. Is that going to be the finished product of what we see? I think we saw glimpses of the old Rashawn Gary. He came back in 7 months from that ACL. He was back practicing. He was on a limited snap count for a little piece of the season. He is not. I expect bigger things. I expected more in that playoff game, if I'm being honest, from a really getting after it standpoint. Those are things that I think you have to figure out how you're going to move your pieces around. And if you're going to go 4 down or 3 down, I would think Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness, Preston Smith are all going to be critical pieces to getting them to buy into what you're doing. Otherwise, you need to be as multiple as you can. That's the nature of today's defense in the NFL anyways.
The Packers are renovating their defense. If you think you might want to renovate your bathroom, there's only one person to call. It's our guy Doug over at Kohler Services.
Indeed it is. And if you are thinking about updating your bath or shower, it's pretty simple. Turn to Kohler Services for end-to-end bath and shower remodeling, where Kohler design consultants and installers, they will do the work for you. You don't need to jam into your snug little pants, grab a crowbar, and start ripping out bathtubs. Nope, Kohler will handle it all. They'll do the work for you. Family-owned for 150 years. Kohler is your Wisconsin manufacturer, providing care for life. Start enjoying your bath or shower right now with a special offer. Visit KohlerServicesWI.com to request your free quote with fast, professional installation always included. Again, head to KohlerServicesWI.com.
The 11 o'clock hour starts in 2 minutes. More of your calls. Jeff Hafley, the Green Bay Packers' new defensive coordinator. We'll talk more about it next. It's Wilde and Tausch.
Don't go anywhere. Another hour of Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, is coming up next on ESPN Wisconsin, the ESPN app, and Wisconsin On Demand.
Step into nostalgia with the Miller High Life Dive Bar of the Week. Listen to Rutledge and Hamilton every Thursday, and we will let you know where you can enjoy $2 Miller High Lifes. To celebrate our love for dive bars, me and Matt are going to tell you about some of our favorites, featuring one extra special dive bar that will have $2 High Lifes on special for the week. Taste the champagne of beer in its natural environment. A delightfully different dive bar in Wisconsin, like Tootsie's Bar and Grill, Jerry's Place, Cahoots, and Red Mouse.
Hey, this is Eric Name of The Athletic. You're listening to Madison's Home of the Bucks, 100.5 ESPN, WTLX Monona, Madison, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
Broadcasting live from the Everlight Solar Studio, this is your Metro Kia of Madison Sports Center.
Good morning, Madison and streamers everywhere. I'm Jesse Nelson, Sports Center, brought to you by Zimbrick Honda's Prep Mania. One of the state's top recruits featured in a Friday night showcase, Davion Hanna and the Nicolay Knights visiting Cedarburg. Coverage starts tomorrow night at 7 o'clock on 100.5 ESPN and the ESPN Madison YouTube channel. The Green Bay Packers have found their new defensive coordinator. It's Jeff Hafley, formerly the head coach at Boston College. Hafley spent 4 seasons as the Eagles head coach before accepting the role of defensive coordinator on Matt LaFleur's staff. ESPN college football reporter Pete Thamel broke the story yesterday. He joined ESPN Milwaukee's Jen Gabin Chewy this morning to share more insight on the Hafley hire.
This isn't the first NFL franchise who's come after Jeff Hafley. There was even one franchise 2 or 3 years ago that looked at him to be the head coach. The college head coaches don't tend to be on the list because if it got out that Jeff Hafley was interviewing for the Packers job, for example, it would undercut PC recruiting. Like, it's hard for head coaches to move. And that's why when head coaches like this do move, it happens quietly and quickly.
Reactions to the hire continuing on Wilde and Tausch straight ahead. ESPN Wisconsin, Wisconsin On Demand.
Metro Kia of Madison, Madison's trusted Kia dealer. Stop into Metro Kia on the east side of Madison or metrokiaofmadison.com.
The 11 o'clock hour of Wilde and Tausch begins now. Brian Gutekunst scheduled to speak to us at noon, so I will be doing a sprint after the final portion of our program to get there for his press conference. Tausch, before we get to more calls, the Hafley hiring, to me, this is obviously Matt LaFleur's call. It's not Brian Gutekunst's call. Matt LaFleur has control over his staff. But I am curious to know in what ways, if any, a new defensive coordinator influences Goody's thought process heading toward the draft. Fair question?
Yeah, for sure. There's obviously going to be, the key buzzword will be collaborative and making sure that you're getting guys that will fit with what system the coaching staff wants to run. Mm-hmm. But I just get the sense, and I thought this throughout last season, I get the sense that Goody's going to be Goody. Goody's going to get good football players. And then it's you as coaches, your job to figure out how those pieces fit. And you don't ever want to give guys, you don't want to give players to coaches that have no interest in them, but you also don't want to say, boy, this is a Clay Matthews type. He really needs to be an outside linebacker, but you're going to a 4-3, so you don't draft Clay Matthews? I don't want that. I want you to get Clay Matthews, and then I want you to figure out how you're going to use him. And if that means put him in at middle linebacker, if that means he's standing up in only nickel, or however you're going to make those adjustments, you can never have enough good football players. That is what Goody will tell you. And then it's up to Hafley, LaFleur, and everybody else to figure out, well, how can I let this player make impactful plays? How you go about doing that. Obviously, if you're going to go 4-3, you're going to need more bigger bodies because that's what that calls for. Right. But then you look at where they're at right now, at Devontae Wyatt. That's a position where all of a sudden, even though there's so much nickel defense being played, where there's 2 down and 2 guys standing up, and that's a 4-down line or that's a 3-down base defense, all of the stuff that we've talked about. How can we get players in position where they, Tampa designed their defense around Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks. Warren Sapp, get up the field, go make plays. Derek Brooks, clean everything up. We're going to put you at a weak side linebacker, and we're going to let you funnel everything to you, and you go make a ton of plays. He did. That's why they won a championship. And then John Lynch in the back end and Rondé Barber. You need to identify, all right, these are our guys. How do we put them in positions to be playmakers? And then they got to go make plays. I would think if I'm Hafley and I look at this, I say, all right, I got old 97. I got Quay, which is, what number is he, 7?
7. And
I got 52. Those are the guys that I'm thinking right now on this roster. How do I get these guys? Does that mean I move?
So not 23.
As we sit here right now, I don't know what 23 is doing. He's Instagram posting goodnight, and he's fake captaining, and I don't know where he's at. I definitely want 23 to be a key component to what I'm doing, but I want to have those conversations. But right now I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking Kenny Clark is a disruptor. Maybe we move him over to that 3-tech. We get him off the nose a little bit more. Those are all questions that's the piecing together of the tapestry that Goody has to work with within this group. But if I'm Brian Gutekunst, I'm down in Mobile, I'm saying, stud, bring him in. Great player, quick twitch, chop. I'm going to find a spot for chop.
Of course you are.
That's what I'm doing. I want great twitchy athletes. Bring them in, and then you know what, boys? Make it work.
Let's get back to the phones. 844-770-3776. Let's go north of the border up to Ricardo in Canada. I wonder if he has a strong opinion one way or the other on Jeff Hafley, because he's not very opinionated usually when he calls us from Canada. Ricardo, good morning. How are you?
Oh, man, the sun is bright. It's a new era. It's a new day. How are y'all doing? Good?
You tell us how you're doing.
Is it as warm up there, Ricardo? It has been a mild winter here. Has it been beautiful up by y'all?
It's 3 degrees Celsius with a rain overcrowd, but we got a new DC, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I am excited. Listen, just like everybody else, I was like, as soon as I heard who we got, I was like, who the hell is this guy? I thought it was I had no idea who he is. I still don't know who he is, but then I went into my research bag. If anybody YouTubes this guy, the way he talks about ball and the way he describes defensively how to game plan and how to dictate, that's what gets me excited. It seems on the outset, obviously it's just 24 hours, so I'm not putting any expectations, but it seems we're going to be a more aggressive defense. And that's all we wanted. Literally, that's all we wanted. I don't care if we get up on an 80-yard bomb, but at least you're in that guy's face. It is what it is. Those will happen. But if you're aggressive, if you're pushing the issue, if you're forcing the issue, that's what we want. And this guy, from what his defense, he can go high. We have to change the roster. But I'm extremely excited because finally we got a guy that I think is going to play the way we want to play. Whether it works or not, we'll see. But I'm excited. And on the side note, how great is it that we're talking about a defensive coordinator, an up-and-coming team, and the possibility of maybe getting attention next year and not dealing with the craziness going on with the Jets right now. That's a zinger, boys.
Nice. Ricardo, before you go,
I think that was kind of a walk-off. That was walk-off
He
material.
didn't get his walk-off.
You can't
today.
pull a guy back in on
It was a
walk-off.
foul ball on the walk-off.
Hey, Joe Carter, you just hit a walk-off. No, but hold up a second. I need you to come back.
No. Ricardo.
See how I dropped that Toronto reference from Joe Carter?
That's very good.
Yeah, I knew you'd like that.
Sky Dome Tausch. Ricardo, you're not going to be okay with 80-yard bombs for touchdowns, though. Come on. You're not going to be okay with that.
80-yard bomb, not bombs. If it's happened repeatedly and you don't adjust, of course we're not going to get it. But if it happens, if we're playing man coverage and someone like a Devontae Adams cooks our cornerback, those will happen. But at least we're forcing the issue. There's competitive. There's drive. You win some, you lose some. But if you constantly playing 15 yards off the ball and the guy's just going to nickel and dime you. And here's another thing. We now have an offense that, guess what? If they score quick, that just means more opportunity for our defense, our offense to get the ball and score back on them. Like, that's where we're at right now. Just give me a few stops, give me a few terms. Chaos at the line. That's what I want. Just chaos and havoc.
All right, now you can walk off. Thanks for the call, Ricardo. I appreciate it. Tausch, here's my question, because Ricardo is not alone, and this is why I called him back, Joe Carter. He's not alone in the excitement about press man coverage. We talked a little bit about this earlier in the show, though. We're going to have to see, personnel-wise, what is Eric Stokes going to be after another lost season? What is Jair Alexander going to be after his topsy-turvy year? How good is Carrington Valentine? Is he going to be like the great Mark Tauscher and one of those seventh-round picks that we talk about who has a decade-long career in Green Bay because he was that good of a seventh-round pick? Or did he have some good moments, but he's going to have some real growing pains in year two? Is Corey Ballantyne really going to be one of your starting corners potentially next year? Or are you going to use some of your 5 picks in the first 2 days of the draft on corners or safeties in the back end? Like, these are all questions that are applicable to the excitement that comes with being a more up-in-your-face press man coverage team. Do they not?
Yeah, I mean, everybody wants to be aggressive and get after people until you give up a couple of big plays. Because
and Joe Barry's defenses, you can say whatever you want about what I was saying about him, which wasn't really what I was saying about him. But one thing he didn't do is give up a ton of big plays.
Well, except the 37-yard pass to Kittle in the game. So
that was not
big
good.
Plays happen. I think what we're all sick of is legitimately the 3rd and 8s, and they give up 9-yard cover. If you run a good route and beat somebody and get 10, and it's contested and difficult, like the catch that Ayuk made, nobody was complaining about that.
Exactly what I was thinking of.
The coverage was great. As a great throw and a fantastic catch. Hey, tip your cap, move on with your life. But this idea that nobody is going to care if you see Justin Jefferson running down the sideline on a Webster Slaughter route 80 yards, and, well, you know, they press man, and, they missed the jam, and and then that happens. People aren't going to be happy about that either. So you have to blend. You have to understand who you're playing against. You have to understand who your personnel are, and you have to kind of facilitate something that is aggressive, but in a smart way. Because this league is about turnovers and chunk plays. Every analytical person that I ever talked to, it's always about, when you're talking about winning football, who wins the turnover battle and who has more explosives. That's how you win in the NFL. So for as much as we complain about, forcing these guys to go down and keep everything in front of you, I agree. It is sickening when you have a guy run a simple 9-yard out on a 3rd and 8. It does drive you nuts. But it also drives you nuts if you get beat on a slant across your face and they take it to the crib. Like, all of those things, there's a balance of trying to figure out what that right solution is.
How do you balance your prize picks? Is there a balance there? Figuring out exactly
it's 3 for me. I like going with a 3-piece nuggie, but you can go up to 6, and you can get a big return, 25x if you go that big. You got Fridays coming up. You got the big game. Pat Mahomes, 0.5 yards. Feel pretty good about that one. And you can play it with everybody else. And Prize Picks is a ton of fun to play. You select 2 or more players. I go with 3. And you just go off of the projections that Prize Picks give, and you go more or less. It's literally that simple. And these combo projections are fun. It's not just about one game. It's not just about Kittle or somebody else. You can now go with some of your favorite Bucks. If you think Dame's going to have a big night, or Giannis, Middleton. If you want to go LeBron, there's these little poo-poo platters, or combo projections as we call it, and you can dabble with that as well. It's just fun. And I told you about the insurance part about it already, but Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. All you got to do, download the Prize Picks app, use the promo code WI, that's WI, on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
844-770-3776. More of your calls on the Jeff Hafley hiring as the Packers' new defensive coordinator. We'll get to your calls again next. It's Wilde and Tausch.
This is Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Call Gina Della from Pella today, 855-PELLA-WI, and online at PellaWI.com/radio.
Since 1956, Holman Lindsay Paints has been making paint in Wisconsin for Wisconsin. Because of their commitment to making great paint for Wisconsinites, Holman Lindsay has grown over the years to 26 locations in this great state. Headquarters in Sun Prairie with a state-of-the-art facility, Holman Lindsay has the paint you need to make your job better. From do-it-yourself to professional, Holman Lindsay has paint for everyone. Visit one of their local locations today in Madison, Sun Prairie, Middleton, and Janesville.
At Gruber Law Offices, we take great pride in helping those who have trusted us after a serious accident. Our team has the knowledge, resources, and experience to get you the results you deserve. Don't wait to get the help you need. Make the right call. Call Gruber Law Offices today. Proud partner of Wisconsin Athletics. One call, that's all.
To those who've ever dreamt of their perfect event, those dreams are worthy and they are possible. Hi, it's Jeffrey from Celebrations Entertainment. With hard work, passion, and great music, we will make your event dreams a reality. Every event is a labor of love, with one-on-one planning, customization, and flawless execution. Bringing your event to life is what we do. For a fun, memorable event, visit celebrationsentertainment.com. That's celebrationsentertainment.com.
Hey, it's Bobby Portis, and I love playing basketball in Milwaukee. When I drive down the lane, I move fast and make sudden moves to drive to the hoop and score. But when I'm behind the wheel in the driving lane, I control my drive. I don't speed or make sudden movements. Speeding and reckless driving are the leading causes of traffic injuries and deaths in Wisconsin. Do what I do. Control your drive. Don't speed. Don't be reckless. Zero in Wisconsin. Together we can save lives. Wisconsin DOT.
Your nationally ranked Wisconsin men's basketball team is gearing up to face Big Ten opponents in Madison, and we need you to help bring the energy to the Kohl Center. Secure your tickets now, as inventory is limited. For more information and to purchase single-game tickets, visit uwbadgers.com or call 1-800-GO-BADGERS. That's uwbadgers.com or call 1-800-GO-BADGERS.
I'm Shanola Hampton. I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
Play along during the football season finale with Underdog Fantasy. It's a super easy to use pick'em game, and all you do is pick between 2 to 5 players and select higher or lower on those players' stats, and if those picks hit, you win. With Underdog Fantasy, you can win up to 100 times your money in a single night. That's right, 100 times your money. Underdog Fantasy is legal in Wisconsin, and it has made my game-watching experience all the more fun. The sign-up process was so smooth and so easy for me, and you can sign up today by using promo code KBN right now. Download their mobile app or visit UnderdogFantasy.com, and your first deposit will be matched up to $100 using the promo code KBN. Plus, Underdog Fantasy gives you a special pick of higher than 0.5 yards to use on your very first pick'em entry. Sign up today. Must be 18 plus and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Join the Madison Money Guy, Christian Finfrock, for Retirement Income Strategies, Saturday and Sunday mornings at 7. Get the information you need as you plan for retirement. That's Retirement Income Strategies, Saturday and Sunday mornings at 7. Investment advisory services offered through Retirement Income Strategies, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Wilde and Tausch on 100.5 ESPN is brought to you by Everlight Solar. Save money, save the planet. Everlight Solar.
Switch on the sky and the stars glow for you. Go see the world cause it's all so brand new. Don't close your eyes cause your future's ready to shine. It's just a matter of time before we learn how to fly. Welcome to the rhythm of the night.
Brian Gutekunst speaking to reporters in 36 minutes at Lambeau Field. for that. More of your calls on Jeff Hafley as the Packers' new defensive coordinator. Let's go to Carl in Kewaskum. Got some alliteration there. Carl, good morning. What do you got for us?
Good morning. So I think the new defensive coordinator, I think he'll do well just because he has the college experience. He does have position coach experience in the NFL. And we were looking at other position coaches in the NFL and wanting to promote them to defensive coordinator. And kind of what Tausch and you were talking about is, getting players, getting good players. It's a matchup thing, matching up your defensive players, their offensive players, whether it's a 3-4, 4-3, a nickel, or man, or zone, or whatever you're playing. You just have to be really flexible in it. I was a supervisor, and I was given these people to work with every day. So it was my job to put them in positions to be successful for that day.
Mm-hmm.
It's no different in being a defensive coordinator. But one of the questions I do have is when you're looking at a known commodity as 5 or 6 defensive coordinators that were available, as opposed to somebody that hasn't done it before, that was in college, and he was a position coach. I'm just wondering, what does Matt LaFleur see in these interviews as opposed to these 5 or 6 experienced guys? And you're looking at a team that on offense looks like we're going to be pretty good for a while, and all we really need is a defense that is just a little bit better than average, and you could be a very successful team for a very long time by hiring somebody with experience.
Yeah, and thanks for the call, Carl. I guess, Tausch, when I look at the makeup of this team, there's lots of encouraging signs about the offense, but I think it's time for the mentality of, hey, just don't lose the game for us on defense to end. And if Jeff Hafley comes in, and I'm not saying they're going to be the Ravens who led the NFL in sacks, takeaways, scoring defense. Like, the Ravens' defense was great. Yes, they lost in the AFC Championship game, but it wasn't because their defense wasn't good enough. Look, if they can have a defense that is more than just a don't screw this up, kind of like the special teams has been, if they can be that good, then that makes the life of Jordan Love and all these young guys who are going to have some growing pains next year still, by the way. I just saw Damian Woody on Get Up said that his early pick for MVP next year is Jordan Love.
Ooh, I like that.
Wood. That's great. It that also tells you that the expectation game has changed.
Well, yeah, and we've been saying that for a while.
We have been.
That's common sense.
And defensive coordinators are going to have more to work with on figuring out how to slow them down. So the defense has to do more than just not lose games.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to understand what the landscape of the NFL is and what you need to do to be successful. It is going to continue to be more and more difficult to stop good offenses. Mm-hmm. Your offense needs to be good. You better be good at creating pass rush and forcing turnovers. That's how you're going to win. And you're seeing more and more teams going forward on 4th down. It's getting more and more difficult to get stops. Mm-hmm. So you need to say, all right, well, we need to be more playmaker. That needs to be more of the mindset, and that comes from an aggressive mentality. You know, if you're playing poker, you need to be able to win some hands when you get a 7-2 delta. You can't only win when you get aces. You have to win pots, and you have to pile that up by being aggressive and forcing people out. You can't live hoping every hand's going to be ace, ace, or ace, king. And I feel like the Packers have kind of done it that way for too long on the defensive side of the ball. And the fact that you just brought up the Ravens and, their strength of their team was their defense, even though their offense was really good. The Packers, it's always been, well, the defense didn't do this. The defense didn't do this. And my point earlier when I got a little heated with you was they gave up 6 points to Jimmy Garoppolo's Niners. They did a great job against Dallas. And by the way, against San Fran, Yeah, they didn't make the critical stop. 100% agree. But they were in position, and the defense did a pretty good job for the majority of that football game, too. And so it tells me that there is a ton of talent. There is enough stuff here that if you can work and wind through it, you can position yourself to have a really good, aggressive defense moving forward.
Let's keep going with the calls. Let's go to Jeff in Wauwatosa. Jesse wanted to make sure I emphasize that. Jeff, good morning. Thanks for holding. What do you got for us?
I'm good, Jason. Thank you very much. Couple of the issues that I had with Joe Barry's defense is, first of all, I would look to the lack of consistency that they had. I mean, how they can play a game like they did against Kansas City that Sunday night and then turn around and play the Giants and the Buccaneers like they did. I don't understand how a defense can go from one end of the spectrum like that to another. The off coverage issue has been hammered. But the third thing that bothered me about Barry is his reluctance to blitz. And don't get me wrong, I'm not looking for a blitz-happy coordinator either. But, Barry just hardly ever did it. And Tausch is talking about creating turnovers. I think the most common way you do that is quarterback fumbling the ball when he gets hit.
Right, or
So,
creating pressure
like
and forcing interceptions that way. You're right. Yep.
Yeah. And again, everybody wants four guys that can consistently get to the quarterback. Whether or not the Packers have that, I don't know. But even if you do, I'd still say you want to blitz on occasion. Keep them guessing. So, going into next season, three things that I'm gonna look for out of Halley is I want to see a much more consistent defense. Secondly, I want to see him play more press coverage. I think Alexander should be playing press practically every play. And then I want to see him blitz more. So, that's
Jeff,
it for me,
great,
guys.
great call. And I want to pair Jeff's call with a tweet from Matt Coonan, who said, I just want a defensive coordinator that adapts when he sees a plan isn't working. Joe Barry not only ran a conservative defense, he didn't adapt to the situation, which caused him to get cooked by guys like Tommy DeVito and Bryce Young. And I think Jeff's point, Jeff and Wauwatosa's point, and
Did Tommy
Matt's
Cutlets
point,
did he cook us? They scored 19 points, right?
They 24-22 was the
24,
final of
22.
that game.
He did more than he should have, no question about that.
He had, 3 incompletions?
Yeah, that's true. That's a tough
He ran
night. Oh, but
for
look at
60,
that.
70-some yards.
Oh, look at those guys. They look like, I guarantee you they're having fun this offseason.
So Jeff's point and Matt's point, I
Tommy.
think, Tausch, are good ones. That the adjustment aspect of Joe Barry's game, I think there is a fair criticism there.
Totally agree with that. And the idea in the Bryce Young game, Baker Mayfield, those are all that's why he's gone. That's a big component to why he's gone. There were no adjustments, and it got worse. But then it got better. So I think combining that and the aggressiveness level is what I think Packer fans are hoping for. That's what we're all hoping for.
I would agree. All right. We need to...
Can you explain DVOA to me? Because I'm getting a lot of the metrics of DVOA. And I love an acronym. What is DVOA?
I believe Rob Domofsky turned that into a criticism of people that are statistical
But what does it mean?
I will look that up and give that to you coming up next. Before we do that, John in McGuanago and Otto in Oak Creek, you guys hang on. We'll get to your calls next. Want to remind you, Tausch has been telling you about Prize Picks all day. I always tell you about Steinhafels. And Steinhafels, again, no matter when it is, no matter where it is, they always have a great sale that's going on. And you should check out steinhafels.com right now to find out more of their current sale, which is, of course, the Better Sleep sale going on right now. And if you're looking for a better night's sleep on your new Tempur-Pedic mattress from Steinhafels, that'll be the answer for you. So take your sleep to the next level with the Tempur-Pedic Ergo Smart Base, powered by Sleep Tracker AI, that automatically responds to snoring by raising your head, giving you a better, more restful night's sleep. Ergo Smart Bases start at just $42 a month with Steinhafels 60-month financing, and you'll score $300 in Steinhafels cash. Shop in-store or online at steinhafels.com. Steinhafels is your mattress destination. More of your calls next. It's Wilde and Tausch.
This is Wilde and Tausch, driven by Zimbrick Chevrolet in Sun Prairie on 100.5 ESPN. See their full inventory at ZimbrickChevrolet.com.
When it comes to mixing drugs, you may think you have a safe approach, but the bottom line is, mixing drugs is never safe. It can cause serious health problems like a heart attack or brain damage. Learn more at cdc.gov/stop-overdose.
Zimbrick Chevrolet.
When was the last time you had your oil changed or your tires rotated? Do you need new tires, a battery, perhaps some windshield wipers? Zimbrick Chevrolet Service Center is equipped to help you with routine maintenance, major repairs, and everything in between. Get your free battery inspection coupon and schedule an appointment today at ZimbrickChevrolet.com. Don't overpay. Shop Zimbrick Chevrolet on Main Street in Sun Prairie.
Main Street, Sun Prairie. Zimbrick Chevrolet.
Cozy up your home with fresh cabinets from SprayNet of Southern Wisconsin. SprayNet knows that the kitchen is the heart of your home. Let them help you fall in love with it again. Quicker and more affordable than replacing your cabinets, SprayNet can have your kitchen cabinets looking like the day you first saw them. Their exclusive painting technology and technique will have your kitchen transformed in less than a week. Schedule an appointment today with Dale, the owner of SprayNet of Southern Wisconsin. Go to spraynet.com.
The GRB Rays have established themselves as one of the top baseball programs in the Midwest and the country. GRB Academy offers training programs for players of all ages and skill levels. Learn from some of the best baseball coaches in the area and find the program that fits your training goals and your schedule. Spots are filling up fast, so visit grbacademy.com to sign up now. That's grbacademy.com. GRB Academy, baseball for the serious player.
What does it take to make a diamond? Extreme heat and pressure and about 1 billion years. But you can't wait that long. What do? You go to Goodman's Jewelers. I'm John Hayes from Goodman's Jewelers. There's a reason we are the Diamond Store of Madison. Since 1933, we provided outstanding service and selection to our customers, and that in turn has helped to establish countless great memories through the years. Goodman'sJewelers.com, located at 220 State Street, truly a destination worth reaching.
Hey Wayne, shopping for a new door? Do you need something more dependable?
Yes, something that's durable, dent resistant, knows how to take a hit, and is going to last for years.
We're still talking about the door, right?
Oh yeah, right, of course.
Wayne Larrabee and Jeff Levering shopping together at Pella? What next? How about 0% interest for up to 3 years? Or no money down, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Conference 22924.
It's official. 2023 was the biggest jackpot year on record at Ho-Chunk Gaming Madison. Check out these totals. We had over 57,000 jackpots and more than $134 million in winnings. This shatters our previous record year, and we have no intention of stopping here. And with our 95% average payout, we continue to be the official home of the big win right here in Madison. Let's keep it going in 2024 with even more jackpots at
Ho-Chunk Gaming Madison.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. My training helps me at work when I lead by example. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my community and those I care about safe from threats. Learn more about how you too can live and serve part-time close to home by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
For official rules and more information about every contest on 100.5 ESPN, visit ESPNWisconsinContests.com. That's ESPNWisconsinContests.com. You're listening to 100.5 ESPN and the ESPN app.
Out with the new, in with the new.
Doc Rivers and the Milwaukee Bucks have something in common.
They both have something to prove.
Madison's home for Doc Rivers and the Milwaukee Bucks is 100.5 ESPN.
I remember the nights when we were young, dumb, and wild and free. When I closed my eyes, I could see you in my sweatshirt, dancing around that college bar. These days I don't know where you are, but I get to keep these memories forever. Oh, I remember. Oh, I remember. Yeah. I still can't hear third eye blind without thinking about.
We'll get to your calls in a second. Football Outsiders is credited with inventing DVOA.
It's a big metric, I know that. That's what I'm going to answer my own question with, is DVOA.
Defense-adjusted value over average, which, and I'm reading from Football Outsiders' website here, calculates a team's success based on the down and distance of each play during the season, then calculates how much more or less successful each team is compared to the league average. DVOA breaks down every single play of the NFL season to see how much success offensive players achieved in each specific situation compared to the league average in that situation, adjusted for the strength of the opponents. Football has one objective: to get to the end zone, and two ways to achieve that: by gaining yards and getting first downs. Those two goals need to be balanced to determine a player's value or a team's performance.
Oh, I regret asking what DVOA was.
You should.
I should have asked that off air. That's on me.
Yeah, you should have.
On Old T. Truman up, Old T. But I do know DVOA is something that analytical people and front offices take into account on a lot of things. Look at that. Yep. DVOA.
That's you reviewing everyone's DVOA. That's what we're looking at there.
If you're curious, the Packers, who finished 17th in total defense in traditional ranking, finished 13th based on DVOA.
Again, it just goes back to you guys that were all saying Joe Barry's the worst thing since unsliced bread. I'm just continuing to pound home that was not the case. Not great sourdough. Not great, like, oh, I can't wait to get some deli meat and put this on a sandwich. But it wasn't rotten old Broughton that you can't eat either. That was my point.
Sorry, rotten old what?
Broughton. It's like a really old, thick, coarse bread from Germany. Broughton.
Neil Broughton.
Broughton.
Let's keep going with the calls. Let's take two more before we check out some texts and say goodbye, and I go ask Goody some hard-hitting questions. Let's go to John and Maguana go first. John, thanks for holding. Your thoughts on
Hey, guys.
Jeff Hafley and DVOA?
No DVOA, but I think that I'm always the old saying, it's always about the Jimmies and the Joes and not the X's and the O's. I believe that first. If Savage gets the pick six, if Nixon hangs on to the interception, Joe Barry's not as bad as he looks because the last drive doesn't matter. And I think everyone was done with Joe Barry with Tampa and Carolina, right?
Yep.
They looked disinterested, so people said, that's it. We're done.
Yep.
We've had enough. But the defense, the NFC Championship, catch the ball. Just two guys catch easy picks, easy. Like nothing hard about them. Just catch the ball, and we win. And the last drive don't matter. None of that matters. But I don't like to hire because I think the building needs an alpha, and that guy's not an alpha. LaFleur's not an alpha. LaFleur goes to midfield, yucks it up with Shanahan. He's kept you out of 3 Super Bowls. He slept with your wife. That's not an alpha.
Well, he didn't really sleep with his wife.
So I wanted someone.
Just wanted to clarify.
Definitely dabbled.
Yeah, but we know.
There was dabbling.
I know. I just want to make sure.
Got to make sure with certain things that could get translated, that could translate out badly.
Obviously, I'm talking about.
Aaron
Rodgers.
Aaron, right?
Just want to make sure.
I know.
Yep,
we know. We knew.
Sound
we knew
graph.
what you were saying.
Sound graph.
That is not an alpha. And every fan should be mad by that. As a matter of fact, if I was a player, Mark, wouldn't that have made you mad? You see your head coach going,
I don't like any. I didn't like this. 100% didn't like the sit-down interview. Didn't like it. But I'll say this: he outcoached Shanahan in the last game. I thought the lunch was eaten.
Did.
So I like that.
Yeah.
And I think LaFleur
players
played that.
got to make plays. His players didn't.
Mm-hmm. LaFleur,
like the
I
two
think,
plays I mentioned, they went.
Yep, for sure.
Thanks for the call, John. We appreciate it. All right, so Tausch, last thing before we get to our final call. John just asked you, you're wanting an alpha or not liking how LaFleur handled the Shanahan piece of it. What do you make of his assertion that the staff needs an alpha?
Well, I mean, old boy's a head coach. You don't become a head coach, especially at the collegiate level, without having alpha tendencies. Does that mean he's going to be loud and brash? It doesn't necessarily mean an alpha. Alpha is I am in control. Mm-hmm. I get what I'm doing. I believe in what I'm doing. And it doesn't mean Bobby. You don't need to be Bobby Knight. You don't need to have all of those things attached. But you better be able to lead a room full, and you better be confident in what you're doing. And as long as that's where the case is with this young man, fine. Again, I'm going to reserve judgment. I'm not making any brash statements this morning.
One way or the other.
No, I am definitely not discouraged by any stretch, but I'm not jumping off the wall saying, championship. I don't know. But I do know that you needed to make a move in a different direction. You want to be more aggressive. And by all accounts, this hiring will allow you to do that.
All right, let's get to our last call. It is Otto in Oak Creek. Otto, thanks for holding on so long and being patient, buddy. What do you got for us?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. The story of Joe Barry was an up and down story, but the turning point for me was in November when the head coach of a team had to go to a defensive coordinator and tell him to be more aggressive. It was a point of no return. I read an article by a guy by the name of Ferreira in the AZ or A to Z Sports, and it was entitled "Hafler is the Anti-Barry Scheme." Or runs the anti-Barry scheme. He loves man. He loves an aggressive way to play. When he was at Ohio State, he had all five-star players for the most part, so he could put them wherever he wanted to. When he went to BC, he didn't have five-star players, so he had to adapt. He had to be creative. He became like a cook who made chowder, okay? He made chowder in a way that was creative. He didn't have New England chowder every single day of the year. On Christmas, he had different kinds of chowder. He put some spices in it.
Sure,
that's
chowder.
What we're looking for.
Oh, I love the analogy. Hey, you don't always have the finest potatoes. You don't always have the finest clams and all that stuff. So you got to work with what you got. It sounds like old boy found a way to make a pretty good bowl of chowder either way.
You go over to the grocery store, pick out your ingredients, and if they ain't got everything you got, you just got to go make your chowder the way you got to make your chowder, huh?
I legit don't know if there's anything that gets me more happy when a caller comes and throws an analogy. And I don't care if it sucks or if it's great. Once I heard him start the analogy, I thought, it's a great way to finish this show off. What a beautiful idea. I love the analogy game. You guys know that. And I thought he hit it pretty good there.
Do you enjoy it more or less than Jesse doing his Boston accent?
The Boston accent's a fun one. I mean, it got him his wife. Without Jelly being
Still
Bostonian,
incredible.
he ain't
Still
married
amazing.
to Becca, and he doesn't have 4 dogs floating around his house, wolfing down turtles that he buries in his backyard.
In fact, I got to call Otto in Oak Creek. If we need to get an anniversary dinner on the books, we better call up Otto. He can make us some chowder at his restaurant, huh?
Does he own a restaurant?
It might be just his kitchen counter.
Oh, he could plube it.
Good pluba.
Please don't do that.
Pluba from Otto. Some chowder.
Yeah, I'm heading down that way. You got any leftover chowder? I'll plube it.
Take it over to Kenosha. Set up shop, huh?
You definitely don't want any plubes in your chowder. All right, we need to move forward.
You always go one step too far.
Whoa, Nelly!
You always take it one step too far.
All right, I want to get to a couple of text messages because I know Jesse has been curating those. We will wrap up the show. Get ready for Brian Gutekunst's press conference. Next, it's Wilde and Tausch.
Like, share, and follow ESPN Madison everywhere. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok for more great content from ESPN Madison. This is 100.5 ESPN and Wisconsin On Demand.
Ben Brust here to tell you about the Princeton Club. I joined the Princeton Club because I was looking for a place I could invest in my health, and the environment and the community I have felt has made it so easy for me to incorporate it into my everyday life. It doesn't matter where you're at in your fitness journey because they have something to offer everyone. It also goes beyond fitness. From the moment you walk in the club to the moment you walk out, there is a togetherness felt throughout the members and staff that keeps you going for your better tomorrow. Don't wait any longer and get started on your fitness journey today at PrincetonClub.net. That's PrincetonClub.net.
You, rah. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin present your Badger Minute. Here's Alex Strofe.
This Badger Minute brought to you by the Great Dane Pub and Brewing Company, Madison's home for craft beer and pub food since 1994. Find the Great Dane nearest you at GreatDanePub.com. The Wisconsin Badgers men's basketball team is in sole possession of first place in the Big Ten and ranks number 6 in the country. The Badgers have a tough road test coming up on Thursday night as they head to Nebraska, a place in which they lost last year, before returning home Sunday to host number 2 Purdue. Head coach Greg Gard earlier in the week on the challenges ahead.
Head on the road to a place that no Big Ten team has won yet in Nebraska. And numbers, when you do the stat splits, are unbelievable of how much better they are at home.
Badgers Cornhuskers tip off tonight at 7:30 on Big Ten Network.
Get 0% interest for up to 3 years, or get no money down, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Visit PellaWI.com.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because our home policies help protect your dreams and come with peace of mind. Save up to 25% by bundling home, auto, and life. American Family Insurance. Get a quote, find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Discounts may not apply to all coverages on an auto or home policy. Discounts do not apply to life insurance policies. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, American Family Life Insurance Company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
You'll notice that some jewelry stores in the area are giving big, deep down discounts, as much as 60%. But you know what they're doing, don't you? They're just marking it up to mark it down. That's why for over 30 years, Chalmers Jewelers has offered you truth in pricing. You will always find great value on unique custom jewelry at Chalmers Jewelers. Truth in pricing is what it's always been.
Chalmers Jewelers in Middleton
And Madison.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer. Our policy is to provide equal opportunity employment, development, and advancement to all current and potential teammates. If you are an organization that maintains a job bank, provides employment information, or gives job referrals, you may request to be placed on the station's mailing list for future career opportunities. To learn more about careers at Good Karma Brands, please email careers@goodkarmabrands.com.
Discover new opportunities together in a new Chevy. Meet up in an Equinox, winner of the J.D. Power Award for initial quality among compact SUVs. Lend a hand in the strong and capable Silverado, or mix it up in a high-tech Trax with an available 11-inch diagonal touchscreen. Find family, friends, and fun in the Chevy that's right for you.
See your Badgerland Chevy dealer today.
For J.D. Power 2023 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Big trailers and big opportunity. Since 1962, Stoughton Trailers has been a family-owned and operated business. With competitive wages and excellent benefits, plus growth and advancement opportunities, Stoughton Trailers is an exciting place to grow your career. Join the collaboration, innovation, and dynamic team atmosphere at Stoughton Trailers, with positions now open in production, operations, finance, sales, engineering, supply chain, and more. Go to stojobs.com to apply today. Stoughton Trailers, big opportunity.
The Milwaukee Bucks, the Dallas Mavericks.
Long three from Lopez, and he hits from Dame range.
Saturday on Madison's home of the Bucks, 100.5 ESPN.
Let's go!
6 minutes and counting before Brian Gutekunst addresses reporters at Lambeau Field. Jesse, let's get one text message in before we say goodbye for today.
There was one earlier, I forgot who it was from, but they said, I missed a small portion of the show. What does Tausch think of Dan Quinn?
Listen, Dan Quinn has done a good job with Seattle. He obviously had the good year with Atlanta when Kyle Shanahan was his OC. And outside of that, he's been fine, but I just have a hard time buying that you're going to hire Dan Quinn over Bill Belichick. I have a hard time understanding that concept to me. I do.
Here's the real text I wanted to get to. This is from Eric in Minnesota.
That was a fake text?
No, that was someone actually texted that. I think they were sending it tongue-in-cheek.
Very funny.
Facetiously. Facetiously.
Yes, it was very well done.
I flashed this one up earlier as the conversation was going on. Eric in Minnesota. I have a different take.
Analogy or no?
No analogy.
Okay.
Does it help to have a college coach with very recent college experience to relate to all the young guys? Would love to hear what you guys think.
I think there's some validity to that. You're seeing the trend, and I was saying, Mike Vrabel not hired. He's a 50-year-old dude. Pete Carroll out. Belichick out. Mm-hmm. The idea of being able to relate to today's players is an important thing. Mm-hmm. I still believe that coaching and getting guys to buy into what your system is and that they can make a bunch of money by doing it the right way and winning is most important. But I think there is a comfort with younger coaches that understand the new age of football because it's a completely different game. This game is completely different from the game I played 20-some years ago.
That's 100% true. I guess I'm eager to see what their defensive group looks like next season because I do think there's a chance that while it won't be quite as pronounced as the offense was, it's going to be real young too. And so to Eric's question, I think just like you saw this offense have success, and look, this offense had success with a 70-year-old quarterbacks coach too. So you don't have to be young to be effective with young players. You just have to get them, and you have to adapt. And one of the things that I think everyone likes, at least early returns about Hafley, is that it appears he's adaptable. And that is one of the things that you have to be able to do in today's game.
But in all fairness, we have no idea.
We don't. We don't at all.
The only thing we know is what he's done. And let me tell you something. Jesse, no offense to Hafley, Jesse with that group that Ohio State had in 19 and the teams they played, Jelly Belly there could have went in and went big with that group. I could have.
Can he command a room though?
Jesse? I don't know. He's a leader in this office.
He's got chops.
The point is, we all like what we hear, but you're going to hear the good stuff now. That's the point on this. Yep. And that was kind of going back to Joe Barry. We didn't even hear good stuff then, and a lot of it was some of the people reporting it and putting it out, but those were the facts on the ground. So I get it. We're moving on, and hopefully this is going to be a home run hire, and we're talking about, wow, that hire last year at this time is what propelled the G&G to be playing in, is it New Orleans next year?
New Orleans next year.
And we'll be heading down, getting some really good chowder and maybe a little gumbo next season.
10 seconds. Let's go, man.
That's it for us. I'm going to go talk to Goody. Have a great day. Take care. Be good.
Miss any of today's episode of Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin? Commercial-free full show podcasts are available free